Go ahead, Mo, spit song.
Can't do it. Get him, Jibreel.
Y'all get Muslim. Y'all get Muslim. Four of us. Right here. In the room. Y'all get Muslim.
That's your intro.
Yeah. Man, just to let y'all know, As-Salaam Alaikum, everybody. It's your boy Mohamed Hassan.
Yo, that's not how we start the podcast, bro. Why are you tripping?
Get it, Jibreel, because you was starting off. Let them know how it be.
What's going on, everybody? This is Jibreel Salaam.
And Mohamed Hassan.
And you are listening to the Young and Muslim podcast.
As-Salaam Alaikum, everybody.
We got a special guest in the building.
Special guests.
Two of them.
Plural. We got, mashallah, we got two brothers right now. The way we met was by Allah's decree, man. You know, everything happens for a reason. No accidents are made when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. We have two special brothers here today that were actually here in the United States doing some work, mashallah. We have brother Mustafa Briggs and also brother Youseff Kromah. They traveled here from Cairo, Egypt. Shout out to all my Egyptians out there and all my Africans. So they're studying in Al-Azhar University in Cairo. And so we have Mustafa Briggs. He tells me what he does. He just chills around the way, whatever that means for him. He'll go into that a little bit later. Then we have, mashallah, brother Youseff Kromah. He is a student of knowledge. He actually told me what he does, so I can kind of hit on that. Yeah, he's also, mashallah, an author. They're both husbands, happily married. So we'll probably dive into a little bit of all that.
Newly married, mashallah.
Right? Mashallah, newly
Congratulations.
married. Barakah to both of y'all. Inshallah, Jibreel and I can be next if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us and provides with both.
For all the shorties out there.
That water real high.
Provides for both the risk and the barakah that come from Allah, man. So we'll start off with y'all, man. What's going on, man? How y'all doing today?
Alhamdulillah, tired, bro.
Tired.
Alhamdulillah, it's been an interesting one.
Right, interesting day, man.
Yeah, man.
So tell us a little bit more about, you know, what brings you guys to the US. Like, so what's going on, man? What y'all doing?
So we just came out here because I have a lecture series called Beyond the Bilal, Black History in Islam. So I did it last year in the UK. I covered 20 universities, including like Oxford and Cambridge, LSE, SOAS, like all the major universities in London and in other cities around London. And then it kind of caught traction, and then like me and my boys, we have a podcast as well called Baraka Boyz podcast.
Shout out.
Yeah. Plug them.
YouTube that. Baraka Boyz podcast. So as I was talking about the lecture series in the podcast and everything, it kind of like caught traction in the UK.
Okay.
And Black history in Islam is like a very kind of interesting topic that loads of people want to learn about, but they don't really know where to go for the information. So like literally all the 20 universities, MSAs from different universities just approached me to come and give the lecture at the universities, or like went through their university to approach me to get me to come. So I managed to do that, 20 locations, and then I got booked in Nigeria through my podcast.
Oh, mashallah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. So I took it to Nigeria in December, and then USA was there. So I had moved to Egypt already to start studying. And yeah, people were messaging me from America, like, yo, we want to bring it out to America, But the people that actually brought me out, it was a masjid in Ohio called An-Nur, and it was arranged by a lady, mashallah, called Michelle, wonderful individual. So she organized the Beyond Bilal conference at that masjid. So I put Youssef forward. I was like, let's do it together.
Okay.
We came out, and then as soon as we came out, more and more people started booking us, and then it ended up becoming a 12 location tour.
Wow.
Yeah, we covered like 8-9 different cities. It's mad. And then this is the last stop, and then we're going home. So, yeah.
Mashallah, that's awesome, man. So just to take a step back here and get a clear picture, so mashallah. So that was brother Mustafa Briggs who was speaking. He didn't introduce himself, but that's who was talking. So before you went on this tour, where were you? How did you start the podcast with the Baraka Boyz, and how did people start hearing about you guys?
Long story. Basically, what it was is I went to university in London. I went to the University of Westminster. And I was studying Arabic and international relations. And then I travel a lot. Like I go to Senegal a lot. I go to Gambia. I go to Nigeria. I go to Morocco. So like my social media was kind of around that. Like if you look on my Instagram, it's mostly like traveling pictures. And then me and my friends, like I have, mashallah, an amazing group of friends.
Mashallah.
Like I thank Allah for them, because it's like,
Ameen.
We all just got brought together in a crazy way. Yeah, and every single one of them has something amazing going on. And it's like, when people saw us together, so we organized a trip to Morocco, because I go to Morocco every year. I've been going since like 2012. So I think it was 2017. I was like, yeah, I'm going to Morocco. And for the UK, like in America, I know it's expensive, but UK, you can get a round trip ticket like $50.
What?
To go to Morocco.
Stop playing.
Yeah, bro. So I've been to Morocco like over 25 times.
Like it's nothing.
Just because, because it's like, it's cheaper to travel to Morocco than it is to travel to some other cities in the UK. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I booked this ticket and I was like to my boys, yo, like, who wants to come along? And everyone just started booking their tickets. And we have like amazing people in the crew. Like I've got like Khalid Siddiq, he's like a nasheed artist. So a lot of people know him. Faisal Salah, he's also like a singer, performance poet. The Gambian Mamadou Tal, he's my cousin, essentially. Like his great grandpa married my grandma's cousin, so like we're African,
somewhere down the line.
Cousins, you know, like so he's big on social media as well, like Bearded Pashto, like Fahad. There was a whole bunch of us, young, you know, Muslims, cool, doing stuff. So we flew out to Morocco, and then Khalid recorded his music video out there. Ya Habibi.
I do know that song.
Yeah, 2 million views now. 2 million views. And then, so we were all just there for the weekend, and the social media went crazy because everyone was like, yo, like, they'd never seen that before. Like, they'd never seen, like, young black Muslim kids, like, flying out, doing all of that. And it's like, we're Muslim, but we're not in thobes and jalabiyas. Like, we're still lit.
Yeah,
so, like,
exactly.
We're out there doing stuff. But then we're also breaking Salah, and it was also like, we went for Ziyarah, like we went for a spiritual trip to Fez, so it's like we were visiting masjids, visiting with shuyukh, and then at the same time getting lit in the Riyadh, like just, you know, just being young guys. So it caught on, and then the WhatsApp group to arrange the trip was called Baraka Boyz WhatsApp group. Like we were just coming up with random names, and then like it just stuck. So we were just hashtagging like Baraka Boyz as a joke. And then it grew into like a movement kind of thing.
Mashallah.
So after that, we came back and we have mad interesting conversations. It was Khalid's idea. He was like, yo, we need to record the conversations that we have, because there's so many other young, like before we all met each other, we all thought we were the only ones that thought the way we thought. Because we live in that kind of third culture of trying to come bring our deen and then our dunya and like our normal life as young. Do you know what I mean? Like there's so many intersections of ourselves, and it's like being us is complex. Yes. Because it's like we're young, we're Muslim, we're cool. Deen is important to us, but we're also lit. Like we also want to, do you know what I mean? Just that whole Western culture versus your back home culture versus your Islam, bringing it all together. That like we thought we were the only ones that thought like that until we met each other. Then we realized, yo, there's a bunch of us. So then Khalid was like, yo, there's so many people that would be interested in the kind of conversations we have. So let's just record them, put them on the YouTube, like make a podcast and see where it goes. Like it was literally just that. And he's got a lot of following on his YouTube, so he put it on his YouTube channel, and it blew up, alhamdulillah, like, especially the last podcast we did. So we only recorded 5 episodes, but the 5th episode was in around Black History Month, and it was about like racism within the Muslim Ummah. And that one went viral. I think it's on like 100,000 views or something. Wow. So like, and then around the same time, I was already, so like with my degree, Arabic and International Relations, I was getting invited to different like universities to speak on panels about being black and Muslim. Black, like Al Jazeera interviewed me. There's like an article about it. So there was a lot of dialogue going around at the time. I took part in a YouTube series called Being Black and Muslim in the UK. And then it's like with all of that, I just saw that a lot of it was just repeated negative experiences of black Muslims. So black Muslims were like, oh, I went to the Arab mosque and they asked me to give the adhan because they said I'm like Bilal. Or
that's a first. That's a first.
I heard of that one. That was.
Well, I tried to marry this sister and the dad said no because I'm black.
That
that whole narrative, and it's like everything was just about I don't feel welcome in Arab spaces. Everyone was just complaining. Yeah. And I was like, to be honest, there's a whole narrative that we're not exploring. Yeah. Like the negative things are valid and people need to voice their experiences and their opinions. But I was like, you know what? I don't feel out of place within the Muslim community, or I don't feel out of place as a black Muslim, because Black history is essential to Islam, and Islam is essential to Black history.
You can't remove it.
Through my degree studying about like the history of, the ancient West African empires and the Islamic kingdoms, and even further than that, just traditional studies of reading tafsirs and finding out like, oh, these prophets are Black. Like the Prophet ﷺ said, these prophets are Black. Sahaba were talking about these prophets being Black, and these Sahaba that
can you name a few?
Oh, you have to book me for Beyond.
This is just the preview.
This is just the preview. Yeah.
He's a businessman.
You have to book me and find out. But just all of that information, there was a wealth of information that wasn't being accessed. So I was touching on it in different universities, and it's like I did my first panel session. It was like March 2017 or something, or 2016 even, in King's College in London, South London, and that was part of the University of London. Did that panel session being Black and Muslim. Somebody in the crowd from Oxford University heard it and was like, we need this in Oxford. So then we took it to Oxford University. And then someone in Manchester was like, oh, come to us. So I was like, I was getting called to all these different, I did like 6 universities in the space of a couple of months. Then I was like, yo, there's a need for this. There's a demand for this. And I have done the research and whatever. So I put it all together as a presentation, put it on my social media, Instagram, and it blew up, and 20 universities approached me and were like, yo, we need you, So back to back in October, I was just like going from place to place, delivering this Beyond Bilal lecture. And then because of the podcast as well, when the racism podcast went viral, within the racism podcast, I was talking about it. So people in Nigeria heard about it and they booked me out there. Shout out to Barakah Collective in Lagos. And then after, in January, I moved to Egypt to continue my studies, like my Islamic studies. And then the America tour happened. So, but it was literally spur of the moment. Like I had one event in Ohio, they were bringing me out. Then somebody in LA heard. So they invited me to Occidental College in LA. So I was like, okay, cool. So the Ohio people flew me in. The LA people were meant to fly me out. And then once I landed here, everyone's like, come to this uni, come to this university, come to this. So I ended up doing like 12 locations, and 4 of the 8 Ivy League unis.
Wow.
Yes, I did Harvard, Yale, Brown, and
UPenn.
Yeah, UPenn.
All prestigious schools.
Yeah, so it's like, it's crazy how much the knowledge is kind of wanted and needed. So yeah, that's where I am now. We just finished the tour. We were meant to go back yesterday, but we missed our flight. Then Instagram again, just on Instagram, linked up with you guys. Yeah. And here we are. So maybe we missed our flight for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. So Youssef, you've been quiet over there, my man. What's up? How'd you get in all this, man? How'd you get to the mix of all this?
Alhamdulillah, again, as Mustafa said, Allah does everything for a reason. Everything has a purpose, so alhamdulillah, within the divine purpose of Allah, Mustafa lives on a floor on top of mine. Before he came, I was able to rent him an apartment, in the same building, because I wanted my brother close by, and that's how these things happen. We were just sitting, talking, chilling like we usually do. And when he said he was going, I said, you know what, that's really nice. He was like, come along. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So I figured we'll just be gone for a few days and come back. And then, alhamdulillah, we packed enough clothes, because 1 week turned to 3 weeks, mashallah. So that's how it started. But for me, it's been like years of speaking and touring and touring around the country, and I've always been asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the brotherhood, for the suhbah, to not just do it for by yourself, but to have a companion that's like-minded people for Allah to surround us with. Brothers that are doing the same thing. So it ceases to be an individualistic thing, but it's about building communities all across the nation. And wallahi, before I came, I'm Amir Umrah, and I was at the Kaaba begging Allah, to allow, my words, my talent that He's given me to be impactful, for Him to spread the message all across the nation. And every single thing I made dua for, I seen it coming true on this trip. Like
Allahu Akbar.
From Mustafa coming on this tour to being present in these rooms and these institutions and watching the message that's being portrayed transform the lives of people right before your very own eyes. I mean, it's prophetic the way things have been unfolding. So alhamdulillah, it's been an enjoying experience, and you know, hoping and looking forward to what Allah Ta'ala has for us in the future.
Inshallah, inshallah. So it looks like both of you guys, mashallah, are doing a lot of great things, not only for yourselves, but for your family, the ummah, the international ummah, you know, so everybody is appreciative. And the good thing is that you guys aren't just doing this for Muslims, you're doing this for humanity. I mean, to know what's going on in the, you know, the religious community, especially specifically with black people, it needs to be taught. I mean, here in America, our schools even erase it out of the textbooks. You know, they don't tell us about the scholars that came here. Jibreel and I talk about this all the time. When they bring up black people, they just talk about how they were slaves when they came here. If you guys go back to episode 43 with the brother Amir Muhammad from the Islamic Heritage Museum, we dove into that and spoke about the scholars, the imams, the different business individuals, the entrepreneurs that came to this country and revolutionized it, you know? And you guys are doing the same thing, right? Coming to America, I know, Mustafa, you said you're from the UK, but I know, Brother Youssef, you're here from Philly, so we have somebody local, so that's awesome. But what I guess I want to do is I want to dive a little bit deeper. Youssef, I know you mentioned that you're a poet, also an author. You know, can you tell us a little bit more about your trade and how you got to where you're at now?
Yeah, I started writing when I was 8 years old, you know, growing up in inner city Philadelphia. And I was like almost like depressed and in a state of despair by watching around my surrounding environment, how everything was deteriorating around me. So in that space and time, I was like, you know, I need an outlet. I need a way to express my frustration. So alhamdulillah, I picked up a pen instead of picking up a 45, you know, like some of my peers did. And I began writing, you know, as a way of like expressing myself as a desperation. I remember clearly like being like 16 years old. My best friend Nasir was shot down, murdered, like right near my home. And you know, I'm just like a table like this that, you know, the community gathered, like the young guys in the community, the table full of guns, and everybody was like, you know, we're gonna seek revenge. And I was like one of the only ones like, yo, this isn't it, man. This isn't it, because the cycle's gonna continue. And they ended up going out and shooting some other people that had nothing to do with it. So I remember, you know, after going to the University of Pennsylvania, revisiting my neighborhood, I saw nobody on my block that I could point out to Mustafa, like, yo, I grew up with him. Wow. Everybody's gone. Everybody's dead or in jail, you know. So, walillah alhamd, you know, picking up the pen and, you know, writing the poetry. And I would go to different high schools. You know, I had mentors from Peace of Love, Herman Davis, who took me around all the different high schools in Philadelphia to tell my story. How instead of picking up a gun, you know, I picked up a pen and I would write and share my story. And that spread all across Philadelphia. And then in 2010, I did HBO, Brave New Voices, and then CNN, Who's Black in America. So it took off from there, but it was just about speaking my truth, you know, and people felt it in a really deep place because it was coming from like a place of desperation, and people knew that place very well. So alhamdulillah, you know, through that, just writing, you know, it became a thing for me. And, you know, I'm who you see today because of that talent that Allah Ta'ala has placed in me.
Wow. How has the religion inspired your creative process in your writing and spreading that message out?
That's everything, man. You know, everything, because, you know, when you call upon Allah from a place like where there's nobody else to call Allah from, that dua is different. Like, it's not like I'm chilling in a caddy, like, yo, Allah, like, let me get 22s on this. Like, nah, like, you're calling from deep. Like, I like to give the analogy of when Yunus was in a well, like in the darkest part of the ocean, in the darkest part of the night, you know, in the dark part of the belly of the well, calling upon Allah. Like, that was it for him. He knew, like, if Allah doesn't get me out of this situation, I'm done. Like, you know? So that's how that was the place I was calling from. So my religion, Islam, has always been a part of my identity. And I didn't begin practicing my religion as this is what I'm going to do is cool. No, that like, it was out of desperation. I was like, if Allah doesn't save me by way of this religion, I'm finished. Like, I see everybody around me just dying, like literally before our own eyes. Like, people just die every day, and it's commonplace, familiar, you know. So I'm like, if Islam, if I don't practice this religion, I'm finished.
Man, subhanAllah, there's a pattern that we just been seeing, even with brother Tariq Touré. He said the same thing. Jibreel's like, yo, how does all the creative people like come out of Baltimore? Because he mentioned that for the past 2-3 years, they've been winning like an annual poetry slam. He was like, because in times of desperation and pain, that's where you see the most beauty. So what you guys just talked about right now, which is awesome, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He really helps those who are in need. You know, on the day of judgment, the first people to get into Jannah are going to be who? The poorest individuals.
Exactly.
Because they went through the hardest things, you know? So I love how you said that, because, you know, I know it's good to pray during your good times and it's good to pray during your hard times, but there's just some dark times where you're just like, you don't know who else to turn to. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to call upon Him and Him only. You know, so when you guys kind of put that into action, that kind of really does help people around us, because, including myself, when things go wrong, we look for different outlets. And those outlets are very temporary. They may feel good and get you out of that moment, but you'll be back again soon enough. You know, so alhamdulillah, man, for what you guys are doing. You know, Jibreel and I, that's something that we're looking to incorporate too. And I love how you said that you guys want to do everything together. Like, you're trying to build something so you can benefit the people around you. I mean, that's why we started this podcast. And like I told Jibreel, I was like, yo, inshallah, I'm trying to learn how to read it, like, you know, read and write Arabic. So I want to do it with you. I'm like, look, let's just do it. You know, it's going to help me. I'm going to help you.
So how do you kind of break that narrative that you have to go out and get it on your own? Because you hear it a lot of times, people like, oh, it's all about me. You know what I'm saying? Like, people talk about family, but really we have a very individualistic mentality, particularly in the West. So how do you guys see that, and how do you think that you guys can kind of change that narrative?
I feel like one thing I always say is your vibe attracts your tribe. Like, you have to work on yourself. Like, you're born alone, you die alone, all of that. But even when they say born alone, die alone, you're still born from your mother. Like, you still have your family to raise you. You still have your family to nurture you until you reach that independent stage. And then when you die, like, you're not going to wash yourself. You're not going to bury yourself. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, you have that individual aspect, and that's what guarantees you the kind of quality of people that are going to come into your life and the kind of people that surround you. Like, whatever you're on, that's what all your friends will be on. Or you will be on whatever all of your friends are on. So it's like, if you have a strong enough character and you're working on yourself and you have your interests and whatever, I feel like Allah will just gravitate you to people. You know how they have like law of attraction?
It's real.
Like, it's real. Like, once you're doing certain things, you'll be attracted to other people who are doing similar things to you. If you're doing negative things, you'll be attracted to negative people, or you will attract negative people into your life. Whereas if you're doing positive things, opportunities will just pop up and you'll meet people and you make connections, and, you know, you vibe with people who are on the same wave as you. So I feel like working on yourself is essential. Like, you need to make sure, because only you can put value into yourself. Only you can go and get the knowledge you need. Only you can go and get, you know, the skill set that you need, or you process all of your experiences and your emotions into an art form, or into a talent, or into a hobby, or into something, a creative outlet. But once you do that, you'll begin to see you attract other people who are doing similar things, or who can fit in with you on what you're doing. So it's like, I remember when I wanted to do Beyond the Bilal, I had friends that were photographers, they were designers, like, they're in the creative industry. So it's like, Beyond Bilal wouldn't be what it is without my friend As-Salaam Yasin, who's a graphic designer. I feel like he's one of the best graphic designers out there.
Shout out.
Is
your Instagram?
He's on Instagram, As-Salaam Yasin, Isalam. And it's like, he couldn't make it to the Baraka Boyz trip, but his best friend Abbas was. And Abbas Space, he's like a dope graphic designer as well, photographer. So he saw Abbas and all of us like in Morocco, and he was inspired from that trip. He was like to me, yo, that trip inspired me. Like, it reconnected me with my deen and da-da-da-da-da. So when I came back and I was telling him my idea for Beyond the Bilal, he was like, yo, let me design it. So he designed everything. Like, he designed the logo, he designed the slides, everything for me. And then it's like, because of that design that I put, and all my posters, all my events, he does all of that. When I put that out there now, that's how I'm getting my clients. Do you know what I mean? And same thing with like my other brother, Qasim Gray. Like, my first ever speaking event, he was the one that recommended me to the panel session.
Wow.
And then even this Ohio trip, he was the one that recommended me to the masjid in Ohio. And then, so it's like, everything kind of falls into place. So you need teamwork to make the dream work, innit? Like, you need that base, those people. And if all of your friends have skill sets, and you're not selfish, and you want to see each other flourish, and you give each other your time, you give each other your energy, you invest in each other. Like, if one wins, we all win.
Yeah, man, I love that, man. I see, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided you with that risk. The risk was the opportunity. Look at all the barakah that came from it. So just a 2-part question for you, brother Mustafa, is how can you tell when people want to be around you for those good vibes, or if they want to be along for the ride? How can you tell? That's the first question. You can't?
You can't. You can't, but that's not it's not your responsibility to suss out people's intentions. Because everything you do, like I have a sheikh, he's called Sheikh Maki. Yes, he's in Senegal, and he always advises me, and he always tells me stuff like this. He's like, it's not your responsibility to look at the people around you and their intentions. Your intention should be to do things for Allah. Once you do things for Allah, Allah will look out for you and look after your affairs. Like if the people around you, he's like, because even the Prophet ﷺ, he had Sahaba, but he also had Munafiqeen.
Yeah, at the same time.
They were all around him at the same time.
That's true.
And he knew who was real and who wasn't, but he treated everyone the same.
That's a good point.
Because he wasn't dealing with them, he was dealing with Allah.
That's a great point.
So it's the same situation. Like, some people might be there just for the hype or the ride or they want to eat or whatever. Like Sheikh Maki was telling me, he's like, Barakah isn't Barakah until even people that don't deserve to benefit from it can benefit from it.
Yeah, that's my you don't switch up your flow just because you feel like somebody else is trying to put on the negative vibes.
And then even if they come with negative intentions, maybe it can change over time. He always says that as well. So he was saying like, even if you look at the hadith where there's the group of people who worship Allah and the angels go and look for them and they report back to Allah and everything. Then they'll say, there's one person that was with them that, he wasn't there for the same thing that they were there for. But Allah says, give him everything he gave them because whoever sits with them won't perish.
I love that.
So it's the same situation. Like someone can come in and their intention might be, the hype is here. Let me make my bag. Then they'll be along with you on the ride and then they'll see things and they'll understand things in the process that will change them. And it's like, if you cut them off from the beginning, they won't have the opportunity to do that. So you're doing them a disservice and you're doing yourself a disservice. Once you do it for Allah, it's like you don't have to worry about people because you see Allah before you see the people. Like Sheikh Maki's nephew, Sheikh Tijani, there was one time, my friend Mohammed Yahya, he's also a rapper, that's his sheikh. So one day, like, because he's generous, like if you ever see him in Senegal, like all he does is just hand out money all day. Like people, he just sits down and people come, oh, sheikh, like, and he just bang, $50, bang, $100.
Man, that's Mental Musa right there.
Like, he just does that all day. And then one day, Mohammed Yahya was so upset. He was like, yo, like, these people just come to you and they're just using you and taking your money and like all these people that you're giving money. And he said, wallahi, I've never given money to anyone except Allah.
Wow.
Yo, that man just spit some heavy bars.
And anything that you give to Allah will never go to waste.
Well, you know what? That brings up the point of like, oftentimes you hear people say, I don't give to homeless people because I don't know what they'll do with the money.
Got nothing to do with you.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Exactly. And I find it funny, man, how wise your parents are. Because my mom had been telling me for a minute, she's like, once you give that money, it's the intent behind giving the money. You're going to get the blessings. And what they do with that is on them. So you can't be so concerned with that. You just got to do it because Allah commanded us to give,
And that's the thin line between doing things for Allah and doing things for yourself. Because if you're doing it for yourself, like to give yourself a boost, like, oh, I'm helping this person or I'm improving this person's life, you're not doing it for Allah, you're doing it for yourself. If you're doing it because, this is a creation of Allah, like, there's a hadith where Allah says, oh, my servant, he says on the Yawm al-Qiyamah, I was hungry and you didn't feed me. And I was sick and you didn't visit me. And then the person's like, how can I feed you when you're Rabbul Alameen? He says, my servant so-and-so was hungry. If you had fed him, you would have found that with me. And he says, oh, my servant so-and-so was sick. If you had visited that person, you would have found me there. So it's like, if you know that Allah is Al-Awwal, Al-Akhir, Al-Zahir, Al-Batin, like He's the first, He's the last, He's the manifest, He's the hidden, and you do everything, like everything you see, like that's how they teach us in West Africa anyway, like our shuyukh, they're like, Allah is the first, He's the last, He's the hidden, He's the seen. Wherever you turn is the face of Allah. Like that's in the Quran. So it's like anyone you're interacting with or anything you're interacting with, it's an action that comes from Allah, or it's an attribute that manifests from Allah, or it's something, it's from Allah and it will return to Allah. So you have to deal with that as if you're dealing with Allah in whatever form you find it in, and give it its due right and its due responsibility. Once you do that, you're not even worrying about them or yourself because it's just from Allah to Allah. Like, lillahi, billahi, fillahi, like, that's it.
There's even a story about two arifin, like two knowers of Allah. They came together, they were poor. And one of them had a little bit more money than the other. And he came, he said, he said, take this, is not for you. And the other one said, hat, laysa mink. He said, give it to me, it's not from you. You know, so, right? So they understood, like, you're giving it to me, but you're just a vessel. You're just a means from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't even see you. I only see Allah. You're only the vehicle. And the other one said, yeah, give it to me. Like, you know, Allah only gave it to you so you can give it to me. You know, so they understood that there's sometimes, like one of my brothers told me this. He said, sometimes Allah will only give you a thing so you can spread it. And the moment you decide to withhold it, Allah will stop giving it to you.
Wow.
You know, so the moment you decide to be, I'm going to be stingy, Allah will take it from you. Sometimes Allah only gives it to you so you can spread it. And He'll give you some as well, just so you can have it for yourself. But if you stop giving it to other people, Allah will cut you off from it.
Exactly.
So everything is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
And it's all internal as well. Like, it's all internal. Like, with somebody, you don't know their intention. If you have a bad opinion of them and you assume the worst, that's just going to affect you. You're going to be the one that's stressed. You're going to be the one that's anxious. Oh, is this person here to da-da-da-da-da? If you have a good opinion of them, like, everything's cool, da-da-da-da-da, and you deal with them for the sake of Allah. If they're good, they're good. So you're not stressing. If they're bad, like, I feel Allah will protect you from them. Or if He doesn't, there's a lesson you'll learn from that situation. Like, it's always, the outcome is always good in the end. So it's like, I don't stress myself with trying to figure out, is this person here for this or da-da-da-da-da. As long as I make due diligence of, like, okay, I know my life isn't in danger or my whatever is not in danger, like, yeah, just deal with people. Like, it's not in your hands and you'll just end up stressing yourself for no reason. Yeah.
And we talked earlier, Youssef, where we were talking about how you have to live the religion, right? You know, it was saying the hadith, if I'm correct, Rasul, he was the walking Quran.
Yeah, he was the walking Quran.
You know what I'm saying? So how do you guys take, you know, you got swag, you're on your deen. How do you take that and try and incorporate being a walking Quran in sorts, you know, or for better terms, just being that example, you know what I'm saying? So even if you're not out there just, you know, speaking hadith or trying to, you know, talk to people like that, just being who you are, you know what I'm saying? Just through your actions. How do y'all try and incorporate that into what y'all do?
Yeah, subhanAllah, as we was talking about earlier today when Aisha, the wife of the Prophet ﷺ, was asked about the character of the Prophet ﷺ. And she said he was a walking Quran, like he was the Quran. So in today's day, we have these people that put on all these garments, you know, to be and look Muslim, appear Muslim, and Dr. Sherman Jackson calls this performative Islam. People, people always perform. Everyone is on the stage, you know. So when you're a performer,
he's on stage.
You put on a costume, you want to act your role,
Showtime.
You know the script, so you know what to say, haram, halal, you know, you know all these things. You have this script that you say, but in reality, you're just a performer because when you take off those robes, who are you really? You know, so when you're sitting in the darkness and Allah Ta'ala knows you, you know, who are you really when the curtains close and the lights go off? So, you know, a part of that is to just be a true, sincere Muslims. And I love to see Muslims that are flawed, Muslims that are striving, Muslims that are unapologetically imperfect, because Allah never asked us to be perfect. He never said, you know, be perfect or else you're going to go to hell. No.
Exactly.
As we talked about, Allah Ta'ala says, I love the tawabin. Like, I love the people that make tawbah constantly. That's fi'l mudari', which means it's continuous. So, you know, Allah wouldn't say continuously. In order to continuously make tawbah, you have to continuously make sin.
Yes.
And Allah said, if you were a people that didn't sin, I will remove you from the face of earth and bring a people that did sin so they can seek my repentance. So Allah is Ar-Rahman. So by us seeking His mercy, it activates that attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, more. So, you know, that's the beauty of Islam. But you have so many people that are just trying to be perfect, look perfect, act perfect, when in reality is, all of us stink. Like the scholars say that if sins had a stink, nobody would sit with each other. You know, so alhamdulillah, like we try to move beyond this idea of performative Islam and actually being Muslim. Like we're not out here on tour, you know, beating people upside the head with Qur'ans and hadith. We're just being Muslim, having a good time.
Being yourself.
Just being a light. When you're a light in a room full of darkness, everyone is going to surround themselves.
They're going to see you.
Everybody's going to see you. You don't have to, you know, dress this light and decorate it. No, we're just living our lives being Muslim. And alhamdulillah, people see it and they vibe with it. You know, you can feel the love. You can feel the brotherhood. And this was the way of the Prophet ﷺ.
I mean, subhanAllah, like just hearing you say that, like for me, I just want to be humanized. You know, everything going on in this world, I just want to be humanized. And when I see y'all, that's what I see. You know, when I see other individuals that I can't kind of relate to, like, what did that do for me? You know what I mean? Because I'm not perfect, and there's somebody that may seem like they're perfect. There's no correlation. I can't relate, and then you kind of put me down, so that makes me dehumanize even more. You know what I mean? So, what do you like? Why do you guys think that is? Because you guys study, mashallah, and see. Do you think it's a culture thing? Do you think it's a ummah thing? Do you think it's a generational thing? Like,
I think it's an ego thing.
Ego.
It's just an ego thing.
It's an ego thing.
Like nafs, man.
Nafs.
You know, in the Quran, like Allah talks about the nafs, like in the nafs like the nafs always commands you to evil, and it's like no matter what good you do or what you're trying to do, if you're doing it, there's always the battle between are you doing it for Allah, you're doing it for your nafs, for yourself, like for your ego. So when you do things for your ego and you feed it with whatever you feed it with, it gets stronger. So if you're feeding your ego with the deen, that's what leads to people judging other people, looking down on other people. It's like, because you could be out here feeding your nafs with liquor, with girls, with drugs, with da-da-da-da-da. Cool. Once you've come out of that trap now and then you start to practice, shaitan, like, and your ego will try and fight you in a way where you'll be doing things thinking you're doing them for the deen or thinking you're doing them for Allah, when really it's just feeding your ego in a different way. And then with that now, you turn into a beast, and you can turn into an even bigger beast than
what you were doing.
Because we have two, like if you look at two ahadith, there's one hadith where the Prophet was saying on the day of judgment, one of the first people to come before Allah will be the scholar and the reciter of the Quran, and Allah will say, why did you do what you did? And they said, yeah, I did it for your sake, I taught Quran for your sake, and Allah will say, no, you lied, you taught Quran, so people will say you have knowledge, and you recited the Quran, so people will say you're Qari, and you got your reward, so take him to the hellfire. Do you know what I mean? The same with the person who did jihad. The same with the person who spent money for the sake of Allah. They were just doing it to boost their ego and to make themselves feel like, yeah, I'm doing something, and to have people tell them, yeah, you're doing something. And then Allah didn't accept that from them. But then you have the other hadith where there's a prostitute who gives a dog a drink of water, and Allah guarantees her Jannah for that. Because that was sincere. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She wasn't trying to impress herself. She was just being human. Like, she saw that this creature's in need. Let me help this creature out. And Allah saw that and accepted that from her. So it's like, when you see the deen, because the deen is beautiful and it's meant to guide you to beauty. So when you're practicing the deen in a way where you're making it ugly for yourself and you're making it ugly for other people, that ugliness comes from your ego. It doesn't come from the deen. You're not doing it right. Because I've never been around my shuyukh yet, like in Senegal or in Mauritania or wherever, and felt uncomfortable or felt like, wow, what you're doing is ugly. Because they do things for the sake of Allah, and that's how they teach us to be. Like, when you interact with Allah, when you do things for Allah. Like, when you don't worry about anything, just leave things in the hands of Allah. Once you do it like that, then it becomes beautiful, it becomes easy. But then when you're doing it for yourself, the ego always looks for a way to be better than everybody else and to be above everybody else and to inflate itself and think that So it's like when you're there with your polyester thobe and your kufi on and you're like, yo, haram, bidah, you're not practicing, like, you're not as good as me, and you're policing everyone and saying this person is accepted by Allah and this person isn't. Who are you to decide that?
Yes.
Because Allah, like, if you look at a prostitute and say, oh, astaghfirullah, when really Allah had guaranteed her Jannah, but you looked at the scholar and the person donating money and said, mashallah, when really they're going to the hellfire. Like, you don't know what's happening behind the scenes. That's why, like, every Friday we're meant to read Surah Kahf and look at the story of Musa Khidr. If you look at that story, it's like, there's what you think things are, then there's the reality behind the situation. Like, Allah has his sharia, like his laws, and then he has his ma'ashiyah, like he has what he wants to happen. In reality, like, that's the haqiqah, like the reality behind the situation. It's like, you don't really know what's going on. So the best thing to do is just have a good opinion and leave it, because it's like, you could be wrong.
But bro, even you're talking about reading Surah Yasin, I remember one of our teachers said something so beautiful. He said, how many sins can a person commit in a day? Right? He said, let's say you're wilding out, like, today I'm going to commit 30 sins a day. Like, every day I'm going to commit 30. And that's, even a look on your face, like, will say that's wild. Like, you know, like, I'm going to do 30, I'm going to wild 30 things out today, right? He said, is this as if you read Alif Lam Mim? He said, because every harf in the Quran, every letter is 10 blessings, right? So if you just read Alif Lam Mim, that will wipe away those 30 things that you did.
Wow.
So imagine somebody that's reading the Fatiha every day, that's making salat, that's making wudu. This dunya is set up, you know, the religion is set up for us to win. Like, Allah wants us to win. It's like, you know, it's like a board game where everything is set up for you to win. Like, every step you take, like, I'm gonna wipe away sins for this. I'm gonna forgive you for that. I'll wipe away this, forgive you that, forgive you that. Yeah. You know, but people don't see that mercy, the reality of Allah's mercy, because Allah is, to lose in this game, you have to like really, really try hard. Like,
no, you have to not play.
You have to you have to not play. Just throw the whole piece off the board, and Allah still bring it back for you.
You're like, oh, you dropped this.
Yeah. You know?
So you don't know where Allah places someone, so it's not your decision to judge them.
Yeah.
Let alone you don't even know where you are yourself.
Yes.
Like, you're meant to see yourself in danger and see everyone else as saved, not the other way around. You can't see yourself as saved and then everyone else is in danger. You're trying to save everyone else and you don't even know if you're accepted or not. Like, it's ridiculous.
So Allah loved Umar ibn Khattab when he was worshipping idols. Like, you know, everybody else saw idol worshippers, but Allah saw Umar ibn Khattab. Like, you know, the Khalifa of the Prophet ﷺ, the one who he said, if there was to be another prophet after me, it would have been you.
Yeah.
You know, but Allah loved him back then. You know, if we would have saw him like, look at this
monster.
Right, look at this monster, this oppressor, right? But that's the companion of the Prophet ﷺ.
You know, it's funny you guys mention like things that happen behind the scenes, because recently we've been learning about Jibreel, right? And how like everybody judged this man on the outside, but they didn't know this dude was a beast on the inside. You know, like the things that he was doing, the way his heart was, you know, nobody could see that, right? But the Prophet ﷺ, he treated him like he treated everybody. He didn't treat him no different. And what's funny about that hadith is that we do that on a regular basis. Yeah. And when I mean we, I mean the people that, for instance, I know in high school there was dudes that we're trying to pick on, like, one of the guys, he was a dwarf, right? But like, there was this one dude, he was just like, nah, this is my homeboy. And they hung out all the time. But he gets all those blessings because this dude is such an amazing person. Get to know him, one of the coolest dudes you ever meet.
That's Islam.
Exactly. But we see Islam all the time. Yeah. It's not just from Muslims, man. You see it from everybody.
Yeah.
So right now, how, because as young Muslims, right, especially graduating college, we're in a very interesting place. Because like, we want to get in our deen, we want to impress our parents, we want to impress other people's parents, you know what I mean, if we're looking to get married. But how do you guys battle your nafs? What are some practical ways that some people listening that may have a huge ego, how can they kind of compress that, decrease? Like, how can they do that? Work on their nafs and kind of battle that? Or is it different for everybody?
Personally,
yes.
Yeah, use your personal experience.
Yeah, because that's all you can talk about. Is
personal experience is like, just don't think about yourself. Think about Allah. Like, even when you're in that process of struggling against your nafs, you're still focusing on yourself. I'm gonna purify my nafs. That's you working on yourself. Like, where's Allah in that whole situation? Do you know what I mean? So it's like, Sheikh Maki, like my mentor, his father, Sheikh Ibrahim Yas, is like one of the most influential kind of scholars and spiritual guides in West Africa. He said, you have to remove the entirety of creation in your relationship with Allah. He said, and you are from the creation.
That's interesting.
So it was like when you're saying you're not going to do this for this person or you're not going to do that for that person, you're going to do it for Allah. Even within yourself, just remove yourself from the equation and just see things like, if you have a blessing, see it as coming from Allah. Allah's allowed you to do it, and then you return it back to Him. You're not even involved. Like, they gave the example of Salah. They were saying that when you pray Salah, you stand up. Before you pray Salah, you have to do wudu. The water, did you create it or did Allah create it? Allah created the water. So you take Allah's water, you do wudu. Then you say, Allahu Akbar, Allah is the greatest. Then what do you recite? You don't recite your own words, you recite Allah's words. He said, even the strength and power that you're using to pray, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There's no power or strength from Allah. So it's like every single aspect of the Salah belongs to Allah. What of it belongs to you?
Nothing.
There's nothing left for you. So then how can you now start standing up and be like, yeah, I prayed my Salah, I'm better than you. When really, it's not even your effort.
Wow.
If you just focused on Allah the whole time, like, Allah wants to praise himself. Allah said, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen before creating any creation. Then he created the creation and allowed them to say what he was saying before they even existed. Why are you, what process, what part do you have in that? It's not yours. So how can you then take that and want to put yourself above other people and use it to feed your ego? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So my personal, like, tarbiyah, like my personal training, that's how we were taught to think by our shuyukh. So it's like, that's why I don't even worry about myself. Like, I'm out here, I study and like I go to Azhar and I'm doing the knowledge thing, but like, I'm still me, like I'm still whatever, I still make my jokes, because it's like, I'm not trying to impress this person or do this or have an image, or like, I am who I am.
Yeah.
And I don't really care because I'm doing things for Allah if Allah accepts it from me. And then the rest of the time I'm just chilling, like.
We did say that earlier.
Bio, bro.
Yeah, man. Yeah, just remove yourself from the equation, I would say.
What about you, Brother Youssef?
One of our teachers broke down the hadith of Jibreel, and in a commentary on it, he said that the religion is broken into 3 parts. The first part is Aqidah, when Jibreel alayhi salam asked the Prophet sallam, about his belief. What is Iman?
Yes.
And he told him belief in Allah, belief in his books and angels, etc. Then he asked him, what is Islam? I told him about the 5 pillars of Islam. Then he said, what is Ihsan? What is perfection? And he said, it is to worship Allah as if you see him. If you cannot see him, know that he sees you. So the 3 parts of the religion is, Iman, Islam, and Ihsan. Yeah. Those are 3 things. So if you were to go to a teacher, if you wanted to learn Aqidah or Iman, as you would go to a sheikh. A sheikh will teach you Aqidah. If you were to go to learn fiqh, you would go to a teacher of fiqh. You learn from a teacher. And if you want to learn spirituality, you have to find a sheikh, a teacher as well. So a lot of people are sitting there struggling with themselves, busting their head against the wall. But there are people that would teach you how to get your spirit in line. Just like anything else. Yes. You wouldn't, be sick and just say, you know what, I'm gonna diagnose this cancer. I'm gonna struggle with this. Like,
WebMD.
Right, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it. So
Google gonna help me.
Right. So it's with the soul. Don't gamble with your soul. Go to someone, the doctors of the soul that that are close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that are trained and know how to deal with your soul. So find a sheikh, find a spiritual teacher that will help you and that will help you in refining your soul.
Yeah, this is good because I've actually never heard anybody give that advice with this particular sort of question. Yes, you know what I'm saying? Good. It's usually like, yo, just go pray, read some Quran, just go pray. So yeah, that's so. How do you guys feel about the journey you're on? Where do you guys feel like you are currently, compared to where you were, and where do you want to go?
In terms of like what, personally or career-wise or
all around? Because you guys are doing great things, right? And on the outside, you're like, wow, like they're killing it right now. But you guys know where you are. You know where you want to be. Mm-hmm. So how do you guys feel that the journey is going for you in terms of, like the progress that you've made over, even the last few months? Like, it's been a crazy last like 4 or 5 months for you guys, Yeah,
it's been crazy because like with this Beyond Bilal tour, when I put together the slides, I didn't even think it would reach the stage that it's reached, because within the past 6 months, I've gone to over 30 locations, over 3 different continents. Like, wow. I've traveled across the world, across America. Like, I've done all of this within 6 months. And it's like, it's something that I didn't expect and I didn't plan for. I just had the intention. So I just feel like, for me, personally, I'm just watching everything unfold. And I know, like, there's certain things I need to do. So it's like, I want to write my book about this topic. I want to continue, like, giving the lectures. I want to, like, I have a few, like, minor goals in place that I know, okay, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this, and to make the most of my time and my youth and my energy whilst I have it. But in terms of, like, planning, I have no plan. Like, I'm just out here seeing everything unfold, because even if I had planned it, it became way more than I expected. Yeah. It became way more than I planned, alhamdulillah. So alhamdulillah. Like, I just want to continue that, like, continue praying my salah, continue doing my zikr, like, continue reading, writing, teaching, traveling, like, and then everything else will unfold. Like, I feel like stability, once you have that program and like, this is what I do. Like, in Wolof, like, I'm from Gambia, so in Wolof they have a saying, like, Linga Japon Bemelni Bulkobai, like whatever you did to be what you are today, don't stop doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I know all I've done is prayed, visited the right people, sat with people who have knowledge, traveled. So I'm just going to keep doing that. And then everything else,
rinse and repeat. I love it.
Everything else will just come like, like even coming here, like I came here, I met you guys. Like we didn't plan this podcast, but this podcast is happening now. And it's like, I don't know how your lives have been affected by what we've said. You don't know how our lives have been affected by what you said. Like I saw you pull out all the equipment and everyone was impressed. I was like, yo, like we need to get Baraka Boyz podcast up. Like these guys are dedicated. You guys are here every week doing that. That inspired me. Maybe something Youssef said inspired you. We never planned this, but it happened. Exactly. And then it will bring forth other things, better things.
Mark 2.
And then we don't know who's watching out there. It's gonna listen to this and then their lives change, or do you know what I mean? It's it's a cycle, but it's just us doing what we do. Because you do this podcast every week.
Yes.
And I travel all the time. Do you know what I mean?
But the fact that it came together.
It came together. True. And now your efforts that you continuously do are going to give birth to something that, they have given birth to something that you didn't expect last week.
Well, he basically said we can't stop.
Because like you followed me on Instagram yesterday. You didn't know that I was going to be in the studio with you today.
Nah.
Not at all. People that you follow that I know that you're like, oh wow, like, like you don't know where this could go tomorrow or next week, but it's all your efforts that you were doing to get to this stage that made it happen. Because if you didn't have your podcast and you're taking your pictures and doing your stuff, I would have seen your Instagram and I would have been like, oh yeah, like another person with like 0 pictures on that. And,
cool, next.
But I saw the picture, I'm like, oh yeah, this guy looks cool. What's he saying? Then when you hit me up, I hit you back. Like, and then this is happening. Yeah. So it's like your own personal efforts, like, bring everything to you.
But it's like you said, like, when I hit you up, it wasn't to get anything out of it. It was just like, yo, I hope you had a good trip here.
Yeah.
Sorry that we missed you. And inshallah, next time we'll see you guys. You know what I'm saying? And then all this just transpires.
And I was like, well, we missed our flight. So what's up?
We back.
Let's link up. Yeah. And then, now we're in the studio.
Yeah, man. So well, you go ahead and answer now, because like your journey is actually very interesting. Like you're talking about you're doing fashion, you're an entrepreneur, man. You're a hustler. Same question for you.
Yeah, the question.
I got this. So how has, this experience, right? Like where you're going, where you plan on being, how do you feel about this journey that you're on right now?
SubhanAllah, I'm just so grateful to Allah, and I can't thank Allah for enough, for the things, the places that He's put me, the people that He's put around me. It's just been so blessing. So, I always tell people, if I could get a thing tattooed on me, it would be the statement of the Prophet ﷺ, like, should I not be a grateful servant? So all I'm just trying to do is just be grateful to Allah, because you always want these things, like, you make dua for these blessings, but the things that Allah give you, you don't stop and thank Him for. How many people before they make dua say, Allah, I'm going to thank you for the things that you already gave me. Bro. If we woke up to tomorrow with only the things that we thanked Allah for yesterday, what would we have? So in this journey, I just want to be grateful. People ask me, always, Youssef, where are you? And I always say, Mawjood.
Mawjood.
I'm here. Because the vast majority of people's depressions come from what? Either worrying about things of the past or anxious about the future. So I'm thinking, what's what I'm going to do tomorrow, or what happened yesterday. No, I'm present. I'm here. Allah has me in the studio right now. This is where I'm supposed to be. I'm Mawjood. I'm present. So I try to just always be present. If Allah puts this in my mind, this idea to write a book, I'm going to be present and finish this book. If Allah has me on this Beyond the Bilal tour, I'm going to be present and finish this tour. When it's finished, I'm going to be Mawjood in the next moment.
Yeah.
Because perhaps we want to go to Harvard, get our PhD, piece the business, do whatever, but we may not make it till tomorrow.
Exactly. So, that's why you got to say, inshallah.
Inshallah. We have so many grandiose plans, but Allah may say, okay, come back, let's go. And it's over. So right now we're just going to be present and have perfection in this present moment and give thanks and praise for this moment. So if we, if we make it or not to the next moment, we can live saying Alhamdulillah. Like if Allah took me right now, I don't have any regrets.
Exactly.
That's it. Like I can walk out of here and that's it. And I just wish that I worship Allah more. You know, all these great grandiose plans, they don't even matter. Like, you know, people on the Day of Judgment would just say, Allah, just bring me back for one moment so I can pray to you.
One more prayer.
That's it. And Allah gave us that moment now. Alhamdulillah. So we give thanks, man. So I'm just grateful, so great. Like, my heart is so filled, right? Even being in this room right now, being present here, my heart is so filled with thanks and gratitude. You know, and I just ask Allah to give us a million more of these moments. But if not, alhamdulillah, it's sufficient.
Exactly. There's the gratitude thing, because Allah says, like, if you're grateful, then we increase you.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. Like, if you just stay consistently grateful for what you have, things will be given to you that you don't even expect.
Yeah. It was funny because a lot of people deal with that anxiety. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I just moved up here. So I've had there's a lot of anxiety and stuff around it. But it's like you said, when you stay in the moment, right? The other thing is that when you are just grateful and trusting in Allah's plan, you're just like, yo, why am I even fretting? Like, and there was a post today, just out of nowhere, I saw it this morning. Your cousin posted it. He was like, you know, when you get on a plane, you don't know the pilot, but you're relaxed.
Come on, man.
When you hop on a bus, you don't know the driver, but you're relaxed. So why are you so stressed in life, and you don't even see Allah? So why are you so stressed?
You know, my mother always says before I travel, may Allah be your pilot.
Oh,
my mom is deep, man. Like, when you know Allah is the pilot in your life, you just what?
Are you chill?
Everything is first class. Bro. Like, Allah got me. Like, I'm good.
Yeah. Because it doesn't matter what happens after that. Like, if you're just like, Allah's got it. I'm just here for the ride. So then you're like, you know, you have this thought. Well, I know I have this thought is, if I left right at this moment, I'm happy. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like Allah, even if, like you said, all the things I wanted to do, I haven't been able to do. I feel like Allah has blessed me to do the things that He wanted me to do to help the people I wanted to help, or He wanted me to help. And it was my time.
You know, there was something that both of you guys said that was very interesting. Brother Youssef, you were talking about the whole concept of being a mawjood, not looking too far ahead or not too far back. And Brother Mustafa, I know you told me that a lot of your bookings were through Instagram. So social media looks like, social media plays a very big part. And social media really makes it hard for us to stay mawjood, because we're always looking at what somebody else is doing. We're always looking like, man, when am I going to travel? Or like, dang, I didn't look that good when I was 18 years old. So like, because it looks like both of you guys are pretty active on social media. So how do you guys not let social media get to your head? Because you guys are making moves, meeting a lot of people. How do you guys not let that get to your head, one? And then two, how do you guys stay present with all this crazy thing going on in the world?
For me personally, like, Instagram's like my life. Like, literally, like, everything I do it through Instagram. Like, if I want to talk to people, I message them. All my boys, like, we have an Instagram WhatsApp group. That's where we talk. Like, all my bookings happen through Instagram. Like, I just put up a picture or a post of the poster of my tour. Like, who wants to book? People message me, then okay, email me. Then it goes on like that. So it's like, I feel like it's what you use the social media for. Because the social media is not alive. Like, it's a tool.
Yeah.
Like, you can use a knife to cut food to eat. You can use a knife to kill someone. Like, you control how you use the social media. And obviously, you have all the influences of, like, seeing people's lifestyle, seeing seeing all of this stuff. I don't look at it like, oh wow, I wish I was like that person. Why am I not like that? Unless it's to say, oh, I see this person making moves. What's stopping me from doing the same thing? And that inspires me. Or I look at it and say, rah, I see what Allah has done for this person. The same thing can happen to me. Exactly. Or you see someone and you're like, yo, this person looks cool. Let's link up and see what we can make happen. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like if you're using it as a tool to be productive, whatever mindset you go into social media with, that's what it will give you. If you go in with a positive mindset, like, yo, this is a beautiful world. There's all these beautiful people. All these beautiful things are happening. Look at me. I'm not doing anything. Let me start doing something. That's different from like, oh my God, my life is so terrible. This person's doing this. I'm not doing it. This person looks like this. I don't look like that. And it's like, I remember something that Youssef said on this tour that really, really struck me was that he was saying everybody looks at like films, for example, like if you see a DreamWorks film, you know, oh yeah, that's gonna be a hit because you've seen what DreamWorks has done before. The same person that brought you this, it's like Allah is that producer. Like Allah produces everything. Everything you're seeing on Instagram, Allah produced it.
Oh man!
And then He produced you. So it's like you have a role, like you have something to do.
It's the same producer.
You have something to offer the world. It's the same producer, and there'll be someone that's interested in what you're interested in.
You can be a hit,
and you'll be a hit. Like just believe in yourself and have patience, and the time will come. Like I remember when I was a kid, 7th grade, 8th grade, whatever. Like even like elementary school. I'll be that kid that's in the library reading all these books like about religions and history and and like all the other kids are playing video games looking at me like this kid's weird, like why is he reading all this stuff? And then over time, all the stuff that I was interested in as a kid has led to me being able to do a tour and speak at Harvard and Oxford and Yale and Cambridge and travel the world and live my best life. So it's like if I looked at myself and thought, wow, like I'm not the same as everybody else, and this person's popping, and this kid is popular in school, and this kid plays sports, and I'm not active, so I'm not that kid. I just like reading books. You don't know when that thing turns into a strength, because now, like, me not playing sports and reading books has turned into me giving lectures and traveling. Bro, so it's like you never know what you have that can develop one day. Like, just be positive, and then you'll see something happen. That's my own approach to it. So social media, like, it doesn't affect me because everyone's beautiful in their own way. Everyone's doing their own thing. And you just need to have patience and trust that your time will come where what you're doing will also make an impact.
What about you, brother Youssef?
The funny thing about social media is that it's like, imagine if this whole square, this whole thing is somebody's life, right? You're getting this much of somebody's life.
Like 2%.
And you base, not even 2% really, right? You base your entire life, this entire picture just off this little window. Like, I know about me and Mustafa, we're going to give you the best of our life. We're going to flex like, you know, we're going to flex like, you know, so you can't base your entire existence based upon this little flex because you're not going to see me when I'm crusty. My teeth not brushed, my hair not be like, we have bad moments.
Yo,
like,
they even got edges before they came on the podcast, bro.
Like, go catch us.
Stay ready.
You know?
I love it.
Because in Allah had Jamal, Allah is beautiful and He loves to see beautiful things, you know. So we really want to inspire and encourage people, but that's not to say that the same issues that we have, you know, the other people have, we have too, you know. But we just are constantly in a state of praise and things. Like we have ups and lows or whatever, but people don't see those things all the time, so they think that everything is just perfect. But there's no such reality.
Nope.
You know, there's no such reality.
For real. It's like I remember me and my cousin were saying, like, if they saw how much we cried, they would understand why we smile the way we smile.
Come on now.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's like all of the stuff that we're doing and enjoying, like people don't see the backstory of like how we were living when we were teenagers or how we were living, like, do you know what I mean? So that's another thing as well, perspective, like keep in perspective that everything you see on social media is not always the way it seems, or even when you see things, it's been edited, it's been fixed, it's been touched up. And then the person behind those things, you don't know what is really going on. So it's like you can never judge, and you don't know what that person did to get what they got.
Exactly.
Because like we were in Hollywood a couple of weeks ago, and it's like Hollywood was crazy because we were in Hollywood Hills. Like I have a friend that works out there, so I was staying in like Infinity Pool, like Hollywood, meeting like all these different kind of people, and it's like when you see their Instagram feeds. And then you meet them in real life, they're completely different. They're completely different. And it's like, you can judge someone based on what you see on their Instagram. But when you get to know the person, you're like, yo, like, I didn't know you went through all this stuff. Or I didn't know all of this happened to you. Or I didn't know. I just see you living your best life on vacation. But then behind the scenes, there's so many things that happen to make you the person that you are. And then like when they tell you about their experiences with people that they know, it's like, yo, like, this person that I found on Instagram, I thought they were like this, but really they're like this. Like there's a whole scene. Like when you see Mustafa Briggs on Instagram, and then you see Mustafa Briggs in the morning when he just woke up, like they're completely different people. Do you know what I mean?
But also too, being around those people, like being around multi-millionaires and big influencers, when we get around there and people just see us genuinely happy with the little bit that we have, people want to be like us. Like, you know, they would trade everything just to have a peace of mind, to like have a connection with Allah. Like, you know, so really you wouldn't even trade your life, your little life, however bad you think it is, for this life that people have. SubhanAllah. Like, imagine living a life, a godless life. Like, you don't have any connection with the Creator, any connection with the higher power. Like, you just, everything is just nafs. You know, it's just like about your desires. And sometimes Allah says, like in the Quran, like they have a sickness in their hearts and Allah increased them. Like, you know, sometimes Allah will give you exactly what you want. You want this dunya here, take all of it. Yeah. Right? You want, take all of it. Right? And your whole life will be that, but that will be it. That will be your paradise, you know? So, alhamdulillah, for those people that Allah tests, like, you know, I'm grateful that if nothing else, just the ability to know Allah and to know the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is sufficient. Like, there's no greater blessing, there's no greater bounty than just to know your Creator, know why Allah created you. Allah, that's the greatest treasure that we have, and that's what sustains. That's what makes us rich. That's what makes us wealthy. Like, you know, and nobody can take that from us.
Wow. So right now, do you guys think, because you're public figures, everything like that on social media, do you guys think you guys have the responsibility to really show your true lives and show everybody how you're really living and not kind of flexing all the time? Or do you guys just want to go on there and just have fun?
Or be polished.
Or be polished, yeah.
Even when we're flexing, that's our life. Like, if you see me in the restaurant eating that food, like, I eat that food. Like, it's not, if you see me traveling, like, I'm actually on that plane. I'm not faking it. Yeah, there's times on my social media when I go through like, oh yeah, like this happened, like today there was like a little fiasco or whatever. I was looking rough, like my shirt was unbuttoned, no shape up, whatever. I went on the thing, I was talking about the issue that I was going through the day. Then at the end of the day, I cleaned up, back to living my best life. Do you know what I mean? It's like, number one, I don't know if I'm a public figure. I know a lot of people know who I am and people follow me on social media and everything, but I just see myself less like a public figure and more like just one person that knows a lot of people through social media. Like, I don't put myself on this platform of like, oh, I'm a public figure, I'm a role model, I'm literally just Mustafa Briggs. And all these 10,000, 9,000 people that follow me on Instagram, like, they're all people that know me somehow, or I know them somehow, or do you know what I mean? I don't see it as that. So I just be me, like, this is what I like, this is what I enjoy. Because even in your personal life, even if it's not social media, in your personal life, when you come to work, you don't tell people everything that's happening in your house. Or when people meet you, you don't tell them everything. Like,
they're going to ask though.
They're going to ask, you tell them bits and pieces. But it's like, you don't reveal everything about yourself. So it's like, even social media, I don't feel the need to reveal everything about myself. But the things that I feel like is important to share with people, the things that I enjoy sharing with people, and the things that I feel like when I share, people will be inspired or people can relate or I can make connections with people over that, then yeah, I'll share that. Like, I don't see any responsibility or like any kind of onus on me to present myself to be a certain way.
Are you Youssef?
Yeah, I've been studying like the Maliki method, the fiqh of Imam Malik. And I love the way Imam Malik used to carry herself, you know. And people, I remember this one person, this Sufi, came to Imam Malik, and he was like filling his clothes. He was like, "Man, you can't worship Allah in these clothes." Imam Malik, he used to be really fly, like he was dressed. People would see him, and he would have like the haiba, the reverence, the appearance of a king. Like, you would think he was a king the way you saw him. Like, he would make sure he would eat meat every day. He wore the best oud. Like, you know, he's really dressed, had this presence. Like, you ever saw someone, you just saw him like, yo, I don't know what you do, but you're doing something right. That's how Imam Malik used to dress. So this guy came and said, you can't worship Allah in these clothes. And he looked at him and he's like, no, you can't worship Allah in those clothes. He said, because I look like Allah provides for me and you look like you need some help. You need some assistance, right? So people were asking.
That was cold.
Yeah, he's cold. He was a cold guy, man. He was cold.
Hey, yo, this man, he was the one throwing jokes at the lunch table. That was your man.
He was ready, you know? So people asked him, like, why do you dress like this? And he would say, it's not about me. Like, it's about the knowledge that I carry. So whenever when people would ask him about like regular things, he would be comfortable. But if somebody was to ask him about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would just get dead serious. He would go home, make wudu, put on his clothes, put on his oud, come back and get dressed really nicely, burn oud before he would speak about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wow. So that's from the light of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So if Allah bless you to put the Prophet in your heart or put him on your tongue when you speak, you have to carry yourself in a certain way, you know. And it's not about you. Like, I'm nothing, nobody, but it's about the person who Allah has put in my heart, who I represent. I'm a representative of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, of his light.
Yes.
So, and that sometimes I try to get myself together because it's bigger than me. Because sometimes people aren't able to see, like, they see the vessel and they think the vessel's the end all be all, like, you're Islam. Like, really, I'm just a vessel, you know? So until people are able to see, like, beyond you, you have to be a representative of that light, like, contain the light in the right way. Like, you know, make sure that you are a clean vessel. Like, you don't want to come out here stain the vessel and people say, look at Islam, right? This vessel is always clean. At minimum, like, just keep the vessel clean so they can recognize the light until they are able to see beyond you.
Exactly.
So nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
But
There's something, it's funny when you talk about the clothes. Some of my pops always told me was that, you know, we're taught that when you have holes in your clothes, either sew them up or get new clothes. You know, you don't go out with tattered clothes, you know, always present your best self. That's why on Juma, you know, you're supposed to try and dress up. So here, you know, we work our job and, you know, throughout the week, I'm just fly throughout the whole week.
Come on, man.
There's no casual Friday because it's like, yo, why am I going to dress up for you guys and clients? But then on the last day, I'm going to wear a tee. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, man. It don't work like that. Yeah. You gotta come at your best. Best for Allah.
I think there's a form of good manners too. You know, I think when people see people that are dressed really well, they appreciate it. It makes them feel good, you know? So,
and it makes you feel good inside.
It makes you feel good as well.
You know, and there was something that, you know, just alluding to earlier in the conversation, we were just talking about just self-worth. And we were also talking about just knowing yourself, right? Yeah. So how did the two of you get to know yourself more? What did you guys do? So, for example, for me, one thing that I started doing to get to know myself was just spend more time with myself, whether that was just reading, writing, exploring different things, travel. I found out what Muhammad liked and what I didn't like, what made me tick, what made me cry, what made me laugh. You know, from there, I knew my strengths and I knew my weaknesses, you know. So what are some things that you did, Brother Mustafa, to kind of figure out yourself more, like kind of self-improvements? Because it's always good to self-reflect. We talked about this with Brother Tariq last week, and I said our Prophet ﷺ, when he had trouble, he would go to back his cave and he would just reflect, just keep on reflecting, think about what was going on, you know. So what are some things that you guys do on a daily basis?
Personally, I would say 3 major things. First thing is spiritual travel.
Spiritual travel.
Yeah, spiritual travel. Like, because, you know, they say there's like a hadith, man arafa nafsahu qad arafa rabbahu. Like, whoever knows himself knows Allah. For me, like, I like to flip it and be like, you have to know Allah to know yourself.
Okay, well,
so yeah, like,
tell us a bit more about
Allah
that.
says in the Quran, فَفِرُّ إِلَى اللَّهِ, like, run towards Allah. Like, you can't physically run towards Allah, but it's like a intention of, like, I want to discover who Allah is. I want to discover the reality of Allah, like, and how Allah kind of interacts with me. And then, like, reflecting on the fact that He's the first, He's the last, He's the hidden, He's the seen, and wherever you go is His face, and like the intimate relationship that you're so, and He's closer to you than your jugular vein, and all of those things. It kind of realigns your thought pattern and your behavior to interact with Allah in everything you do. And then once you make that intention of spiritual travel, then, like, it fixes you up as a person, and then it brings out your best self. Because you're not dealing with yourself for yourself anymore, or with people for yourself anymore. You're dealing with Allah for Allah. Like, it brings you to a whole different level. So I feel like that's very important. And then also physically traveling. Because when you're in your comfort zone, you don't really know yourself. Like what you were saying about the Prophet ﷺ traveling to the cave. Like, he removed himself from his environment and put himself into a different environment. Because when you travel, like Imam Shafi said in his diwan, like, water that's stagnant is like water that stays still becomes stagnant, but water that flows is always refreshing itself. It's always new, it's always fresh. So I should always travel. If you travel a lot, like, you get put in situations where it will bring things out of you that you never knew were in you. Like, you're in a country where you don't speak anyone's language. You realize, oh wow, I have survival skills, or like you're stranded, or you missed your flight, or your passport's missing, or like all these different situations, or you just travel and meet new people. Like coming here, I've met you guys. I've discovered things about myself that I didn't know, or you've discovered like making new relationships, new friendships, expanding, broadening yourself, and then you start to see what you like and what you don't like as well. As long as it's within the bounds of like goodness and not badness, then like, and then another thing is also solitude. Like I'm a single child. Like I grew up with no siblings.
Wow.
So it's like I spend a lot of time with myself. And so being in that position where I was with myself a lot, I got to discover who I was and what I liked and what I didn't like. Because I was never in that pressure of having to adapt to people around me, or like my mom's in her room, I'm in my room, or I'm in the living room. Like, so it's just me by myself. So I can do what I want. Like I can read my books that I like. I can watch whatever I want to watch. I can do whatever I want to do. So I like, even now where I'm married and I have a lot of friends and I have a lot of people on social media, I love to take time to just be by myself. Because people can distract you.
Yes.
Like Imam Ghazali was saying, you can imagine the person as a well, and the 5 senses are like streams that go into the well. So like your seeing, your hearing, your sight, your vision, your like whatever. Yeah. If you block the 5 senses of stuff going in, then you can discover what's actually inside the well. But if you don't ever block that, like if you don't ever take yourself out of that constant influence, you will just become whatever comes.
Whatever goes inside.
Yeah, whatever goes inside. So I feel like just taking yourself out and having time for yourself is like very important.
What you guys say about that?
Coming from the same place, man. Me and Mustafa, we drink from the same well. So, you know, it's the same vibe. But for me, I often think about one of the teachers. He said to me that if you want to talk to Allah, you make salat. And if you want Allah to talk to you, you read the Quran. You know, so sometimes people read the Quran as if it's something outside of themselves. You know, but I try to read the Quran as if it's a direct conversation, like me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaking. So Allah ta'ala is the one, if this life was a movie, Allah is the one who wrote the script, right? So if you want to know yourself, like Allah wrote the script, like Allah wrote who you are. Like in the Quran, He says that verily the human being upon itself is a witness. Like, you know? So I read the Quran sometimes, and I'll just be sitting by myself and like, ooh, ah. You know? The Sahabas, when they heard the Quran, they felt like everything was about them. Like it wasn't about him. Like Allah is talking to me. You know, so there's a story about Abu Bakr when Allah was saying in the Quran that, you know, about like a transaction, like if you do this, Allah will reward you with this much, like with this amount of paradise, or whatever the case may be. And all the Sahabas began to rejoice. They were so happy to hear it. And Abu Bakr started crying. Everybody's like, what's wrong with you? Allah just gave us the good news of paradise. Like, why are you acting like this? And he said, I know that Allah only told us that He would give us this, you know, for our good deeds, because He knows that we are stingy. And if He didn't give us this, we wouldn't do it. So he had a really deep understanding of Quran, and he knew that he looked beyond the apparent of the Quran, like these are the letters here, but it's deeper than that. Allah knows who we are and how we are. Yeah. So when Allah says, why does Allah keep on saying to us in the Quran, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, right? From Allah we came to Allah return, like because we forget, like even the word nas, mankind comes from the word nasa, which means to forget. You know, so Allah named this man Nas because we are so forgetful. Like Allah does so much for us, but we forget. One thing happens, like Allah never did nothing for me.
Which are the favors of your Lord?
Man, come on, man. How many times did Allah repeat that,
bro? I just listened to that story yesterday.
How many times?
I was like, whoa.
How many times did Allah repeat that? You know, so the things that Allah repeats frequently, I try to tap into that and find out like what is Allah trying to say to me, that this message that I'm not understanding, that Allah has to continue to repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. You know, so that's when I read the Quran, I read it as if Allah is talking directly to me. What can I learn about myself through the Quran?
Do y'all have your own cave? Like for me, my cave is my car. So, you know, usually I used to have a commute back at home from my house to the coffee shop, an hour. And yeah, you get to know yourself a lot when you're looking at cornfields. You feel me? So what's y'all cave?
Funnily enough, The bathroom, you know.
I ain't mad at you.
Like, nah, because that's the only time where I'm caught off guard. Because I don't even like plan to be like, I just go into the bathroom in the morning, like I'll be showering and then I'll just sit down and be like, yo, I'm just be thinking about stuff. And my wife's always complaining about that. She's like, you take like forever in the bathroom.
No, he does.
Like, yo, like, I'm out here thinking like
the water bill.
Yeah, like he knows me because we've been in the hotels together and stuff. In the morning, I'll just go into the bathroom and it's like, because that's the one place no one will ever go inside.
Yeah, while
you're there, no one will ever be there. So it's like, because you could be in the, like, I have an office in my apartment. I'll be in my office. My wife will come in. People will come in. Guests will come in. So it's like, that's not really, you're not really going to be alone. You'll always be or in the living room or wherever. But it's like, when you're in the bathroom, no one will knock on the door and come and try to be in the bathroom. So it's like, I just sit down there and I just be thinking about stuff. And I'm just, yeah, it's mad random, but that's my spot. But then also, like, I like to travel and go to places. So it's like, in Morocco, like, I'll go to Morocco. And there's like a masjid that was built by one of like our sheikh. I'll go there, sit there, and it's like that's a place for me to reflect. Or like just even the masjid, like going to the masjid and just sitting in the corner, or like going out randomly to go sit somewhere random, like where you don't know anyone or you're not surrounded by anyone you know, like that. Those kind of spots do it for me. But if I'm at home, my bathroom, I'm just like in the morning when I take my shower, come down, dry myself, just sit down and be like. Yeah. And then come out.
About you, Youssef?
Alhamdulillah, the interesting thing about me is that I carry my cave with me wherever I go. And I don't mean to be on no like
got a pocket cave.
Is that like your notebook?
Not exactly, right? So as an artist, I can be in a room full of people, but in my own world. Like, you know, I'll be present and not present at the same time, you know? So, you know, once I'm in my thoughts, it's like I'm not even here, like, you know? So sometimes people will just be like, where are you? You know, I'm just in a completely different world. And I have to come back, you know, to be present in the room. So alhamdulillah, that's what, you know, writing does for me. I could be in a room full of people, madness going on, noise going on, and I'll tune out to such a degree that I don't hear anything. You know, I'm just completely in my own cave. Anywhere in the midst, I could be in Center City, New York, at the height of traffic, and I could hear nothing and see no one, and just be in my own world, writing, thinking.
So right now, what has marriage done for the both of you guys spiritually, professionally, as men? You know, mashallah, we have a lot of individuals that are listening are single, young Muslims, some are married. So what has that done for you guys?
Well, and then second part to that is you guys are constantly on the move. So what is that marriage? What is that marriage life like when you constantly on the go? You know what I'm saying? How do you keep that balance?
Trying to get us in trouble now.
Yeah. Somebody got location services on.
Personally, I feel like marriage just took me to a whole new level because it's when you marry the right person, they can be a mirror to you. Because there's so many things you don't know about yourself or you don't see. Like, you know, they say no one can see their own face. You can only see your reflection in the mirror. It's like, I can think I'm a certain way. When I got married, like, my wife showed me so many things about myself. And then having to interact with her as well just showed me so many things about not only myself, but just human beings and just like how to, because I've never interacted with somebody on such an intimate level before. Like, you're constantly with this person, you're constantly like around this person. Like, when times are good, they're really good. When times are bad, they're really bad. So it's like you have to navigate all of that, and then it brings out character traits in you that you didn't know. And then your wife, like my wife tells me things about myself I didn't notice. I'm like, oh yeah, like I need to change that, or I need to work on that, or I need to improve that. And then women also, like, they see the world in a completely different way from men. Like, I've noticed this. And it's like, even getting married made me understand my mother and my grandmother more.
Really?
Because I was raised by my mother and my grandmother.
Okay.
Like, but there's just something that I just did not understand about them. Like, the way they process things, the way they think about things, the way they see the world. And I always butt heads with them because of that. But then it's like, getting married now, I noticed the same, not to the same level, but like similar things with my wife. But then she'll explain it to me. Then I'm like, oh, this is how you see it, because I see it like this. And then they see things. I feel like women have this intuition where they see things you would never even think of. So like my wife will tell me things are going to happen before they happen. Or she'll tell me about people and I see the stuff in the people that she says. Or she tells me about situations and I'm like, oh, mad. Like, I never noticed that. So I've become like a much better person through my marriage just because of my interaction with my wife. And then, yeah, with the travel, so yeah, I would recommend, like, that's one of the best decisions I ever made.
Wow.
Getting married, I would say, is like the best thing I did after, like, you know, practicing deen and whatever. Like, just because you're not really, like, you know, when they say all these, oh yeah, half your deen and it can be you think like, oh yeah, whatever. Like, and that's how I was. I was like, yeah, okay, half my deen, blah blah. Like, yeah, okay, uncle, like, yeah, I'll
try to get half
soon.
this check.
But it proper puts you, like, it completes you as a person.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, even if you don't, like, because I'm somebody, I like my independence, I like my freedom, I
Same.
like to be able to do whatever I want to do. So being, like, in a relationship where I can't just think about myself, I constantly have to think about someone else. In the beginning, for me, it was like draining, like, oh man, but then it opened up this whole kind of way of seeing the world and doing things that, yeah, I would never take back. Like, you shouldn't be afraid of the responsibility, because once you become more responsible, then you have the opportunity to do more for yourself and more for your spouse. And it, like, motivates you to go out and get it, like, motivates you to be more successful. And even when you're feeling down, like, your wife will motivate you, or your wife, if you got the right one.
If you got the right one.
She'll motivate you, or she'll, like, because my wife's always like, yeah, baby, like, you can do it. Like, yeah, like, she's always encouraging me and pushing me to do stuff and whatever. And it's like, even the Prophet ﷺ, when he received the message, he came home to Khadija. And he didn't even want to accept the fact that he was who he was. But Khadija was like, no, it's not a jinn or some, like, it was a real vision, because you're a good person and you protect the orphans and you feed the poor and so let me take you to my cousin and he'll, and she was the one that covered him
when he was so cold,
comforted him and, like, made him believe in himself. Wow. And I feel like your wife, if you got the right one, she'll do that for you, and you do that for her as well. Yeah. So if you have a Khadija on your side, like, yeah, and an Aisha to test you, yeah, like, you're all good. You know?
Shout out to both versions. Khadija and Aisha's in the world.
The wife has to have both sides. And then, like, with the traveling thing, it's tough.
Yeah.
Like, more so for my wife than for me, because, like, my wife comes from a large family. She's always used to being, like, she's not used to being alone.
Yeah.
So then now we're so close to each other. So it's like being separated from her and her being separated from me. Like, I know it's affecting her a lot, and it affects me as well. But then it's like, she's very patient. And I feel like that's another thing with marriage. You need to be patient, both people. And it brings that out in you. But I appreciate her for just being patient and, like, waiting for me. Because I've been away from home for like 3 weeks. So she's been by herself for 3 weeks. So it's like, if she wasn't a patient person, that would have broken down, and that would have been an issue, and that would have caused problems. And, like, it's tough on both sides, but we know, like, okay, we're just riding it out for now, because in the future, like, it's going to be better, or, like, I'm doing something major, like, for us. So, yeah, it's tough, but if you got the right one that's patient and supports your vision, it's all good, man.
Alhamdulillah.
Man. My man, you've been kicking the knowledge all day, bro. Like, we spent a lot of time together today. Like, couldn't even have planned this out, even if we tried. Right. And so when we were in Apple, you spit a lot of stuff to me, bro. And I just want you to try and take even a piece of that and put it on this podcast.
I know we got to pay for that.
But you know, the Prophet ﷺ, and this is it right here, this conversation here, because this is what we need to return back to, the building of the family life.
Yeah.
Because, subhanAllah, the Prophet ﷺ said the best of you are those who are the best to their families, i.e. their wives and their children. Yeah. You know, so, because the reality is, I can sit in front of you right now and present my best self, you know, to you, but you won't really, really know me until you live with me, until you travel with me, until you spend some time with me, and then a full part of me will manifest. So it's easy to love the person you see right now when I'm here, you know, but to live with me and to see my innermost nature, that's when you know the reality of people. So your wife is that person who stays with you, who sleeps with you, you know, who knows you on an intimate level. So are a mirror for you, like, can tell you about yourself, things that people don't know. And alhamdulillah, if you are able, you know, if you are able to have a wife that sees you as the world sees you, you know, and that you're the same person, and that the person you present yourself as is the same person you are to your family, then you're a true believer. And this is what the Prophet was trying to teach us. Because it's easy to be nice to someone. I know I'm going to be with him for like the next 5-10 minutes. I can treat him. Then I'm out.
Yeah.
You know, but when you're with a person, like, you know, so alhamdulillah, like a righteous wife is a treasure. Like, it's a treasure. And I have to give it to my wife, man. She's one of the most beautiful human beings I have ever met. Like a treasure. And I don't even like to talk about my treasure because, like, you know, I don't want to. If people knew the treasure, this blessing that I had, people would envy it. You know, so I try to keep it close because you brothers don't understand, man. To have someone that the way that Allah created women, the capacity that they have to love you, like they love you more than you love yourself. Like, you know, want good for you more than you want for yourself, man. When you have a woman that's pure like that, has a pure heart, pure spirit. Wallahi, is nothing like that. You know, to ask the Prophet ﷺ, like, what's the most beloved thing to you in this dunya? And one of the things, you know, was his family. You know, because he knew the reality of having a righteous woman like this. Sometimes the mentioning of Khadija's name will send the Prophet ﷺ into a state. Like, he will go into a state. Just hearing her name or seeing her family members or seeing something that belonged to her would take him in a different world. Like, he would lose it almost, like, you know, because he knew the reality of having a righteous woman, like someone that was God-fearing, God-loving, that will speak. A woman have the power to, like, speak life into you. They can build you or break you with their words, like, you know. So if you got someone that's saying, like, how great you are, like, my wife always just looks at me and said, wow, like, you're great. Wow. Like, I see greatness inside of you. I see you're a beautiful human being. Like, those words, man, like when you see me flying and soaring, it's because I got people behind me that are lifting me up, you know. So, you know, alhamdulillah, I can't say much about it. Like, you know, even to speak about it is like beyond the jurisdiction of words, like the power, you know. So alhamdulillah for those brothers that know the righteousness of women, like, you know, that know beautiful, empowering women that will make the sacrifices so that we can do the things that we're able to do, you know. So I recommend, that's why I always tell brothers, man, get married, man. Don't try to get yourself in a row, get this perfect, get that perfect. If Allah presents this woman to you, get married, because this is going to be the thing that's going to build you up, man. It's going to, you know, bring blessings to you. You know, Allah Ta'ala will open the doors of this to, you know, for you, will protect you, because, you know, just being out here, we know what it is. Like, you know, what's in the world, the dunya is just presented. Like, if you want, you know, you look at social media, Instagram, it's just all flesh and like just all lust, like, you know, really. So those things block your blessings, man, if you're engaged in that. And we all have that lower part of our nature as men, like, you know, we just see what the eye see. But you need to have something that's going to balance that and stabilize that. And if you have that righteous one or two, you know,
or 3 or 4.
You know, that's a blessing, you know. So just give thanks, man, and you know, be grateful and appreciate that. So alhamdulillah for our family that's back home watching, as they always watch, you know, support. Thank you. When I thank you in private, thank you in public, because Allah says the one that doesn't thank the people doesn't thank Allah. So we're grateful to you for all the women, not just our wives, our mothers too.
Especially during this month.
Mothers, man, come on now. Like, our mothers, our sisters, people that don't know, it's like the women be the main ones that come out to the events, man.
For y'all
and
too.
Speak and life into us, man, empower us and make dua for us when we don't even know. Like, you know, subhanAllah.
All of the events has all been like,
telling you, man, 60, sisters,
70%.
I mean, most of our podcast listeners are all women.
Come on, man.
You know what I'm saying? Majority of the creators that we see out are women. Like, bro, it's just, it's wild, bro. It's wild, because they out here hustling. And, you know, it's ironic that this is Women's Month. This is International Women's Month. So it's like, you know, we're actually seeing how these women out here getting it. You know what I mean? It's like y'all said, there's so many out here that are just,
that's why I'll be looking at y'all brothers. Wow, y'all be single? Like, how you do that?
Well, and so that's my next question. How? Because Mustafa, you kind of brought it up a little bit. You didn't go deep in it, but compatibility is a big part of having a good marriage.
It's the right one.
Yeah, but I would say don't be afraid to test the water. And that's the thing. It's like, we don't want to make the wrong decision and fail. So it's like, people are like, and I feel like we invest too much into marriage, and that's why we're scared of getting married. Because you're thinking like, yo, I have to spend 20 racks and then give a 10 lakh dowry and what if it doesn't work out, and then you're always afraid to jump in. I'm just like, nikah is easy. Nikah is very, very easy. Like getting married as a Muslim, you just need your mahar, your 2 witnesses. If you believe the wali needs to give his permission, you can work on that. Just get it done. And don't be afraid, because it's like when you see the Sahaba, they used to get married and divorce and married and divorce. Like most of the Sahaba, women were married to 2-3 men in their lifetimes.
And there's no shame in that.
And there's no shame in that. But we have this kind of concept where it's like, oh, you know, if you're married to the one person, you're with them for life. And if your marriage breaks, then you're over and you're finished. Like, it shouldn't be like that. Because you would never get to know somebody and know if someone's compatible for you until you marry them. Until you live with them and you see in them every day to know, okay, I can deal with this person. So it's like when I met my wife, we started talking. She was like, you have 3 conversations to decide if you want to marry me or not. Because I'm not here to waste my time. Like, she was like, I'm not here to waste my time. But I'm like, from West Africa, I see my shuyukh, like, when you see a girl and you like her, you want to get married, they make it easy. Next week, you'll be married to the girl. They do make it easy. And then if next week it didn't work out, you can get divorced. There's no shame in that. So I was like, all right, bismillah, like, let's get married then and see if it will work. But it's like, we didn't know, but that's the problem. So we both approached it from a thing where it's like, okay, I like you, you like me. I feel like we're going to be compatible. You feel like you're going to be compatible to me. Let's get married. See if it will work. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And alhamdulillah, it's been working so far. We're still in it. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, as much as we love each other, if the day comes where it's like, oh, we can't do this anymore, like we're toxic for each other and we're damaging each other, it's not anything for us to part our separate ways and go and then find someone that we're compatible with. So I feel like, I feel like that's one thing. I'm not saying to people get married with the intention of divorce or go in and but I'm saying don't be afraid to test the waters, because the person that you see in the pictures and in the dates and stuff is completely different from the person you're gonna wake up to at 3 a.m. behind the doors, or like when you're angry and she's angry, and do you know what I mean? They're completely different. So it's like you can marry someone and you're not gonna know the person. Like when I got married to my wife, I would say we didn't even really know each other until the 2nd, 3rd month. Like,
because that's when all the veils, the filters, everything. Like by that time, we'd had all our arguments. We had I'm not talking to you ever again. We've had do you know what I mean? We've had our tension. We butt heads. So it's like, I've not just seen the sweet, pretty, nice side of you. I've seen everything. And she's not just seen the calm, collected side of me. She's seen the angry side of me. She's seen the frustrated side of me. She's seen the fed up side of me. Like, she's seen everything. So it's like, getting that whole spectrum, then you now know the person. Then you're like, okay, I can deal with this or not. But I feel like with us, we're too scared to get into something because we invest so much culturally, like weddings and social expectations and da-da-da-da-da. So it's like, yo, I don't want to do all of this. And then it doesn't work out. So people push it off. And then even when they get into the situation and they're not happy, because of the pressure, they're too afraid to leave. So it's like, but that's not the sunnah, like that's not the way that it should be. Like it should just be like, I'm not saying casual, but casual. Because if you're not getting married and at the end of the day, the society we live in, you can go on Tinder, you can do you know what I mean? You can go on, you can be in DMs, you can be doing anything. So it's like, make nikah easy.
Make it easy.
Because if not, you're gonna be end up like all these people, oh yeah, I'm waiting for this perfect sister to get married to, and you're like 35. Bro, you weren't sitting in your house twiddling your thumbs from 16 to 35. You was out there getting it. Like, like let's not. He trying to play. Let's be real about it. Let's be real. Yeah. Out there getting it. So it's like you. So
I just watch some Netflix by myself.
Nah, like even if you're not out there getting it, they'll be out here trying to get you.
Yeah, exactly. On your coattails, man.
So you know, like just get married and then like.
You know, I told a friend that I was telling a friend a lot. Ain't gonna bite, but like I was telling a friend, I was like, you know, our society here in America, we put too much emphasis on marriage and we put too little emphasis on marriage. Like they make it seem like you said, like you gotta do it and that's it, like it's over. But then, you know, other people just like, oh, I mean, it's not really that big of a deal. Like, why am I mean, it's just a institution of the man, and you know they go all I know you've heard it. Yeah. So it's like,
but it's true, like, because the way American law and like British law and everything has turned marriage into, is like, especially here, it's wild. Like you're getting married to people, and then if it doesn't work out, they're taking your house and half of your check. Sorry, my friend. Like that's a bit mad. Do you know what I mean? Like,
check, shorty, my house.
Like, do you know what I mean? They've turned it into something so mad. Like, so yeah, why would you want to get married and sign that paper? And if that doesn't work out, your house is getting taken.
That's my mama house.
Man, Kanye said it best. We want prenup. We want prenup.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. Like, yeah. I'm just thinking about the house. I was like,
not the Audi.
So right now I want to talk a little bit more about support. Right, mashallah, you guys are out there doing your things. Who have been supporting you guys the most outside of your family? You know, is it your community? Is it the African Muslims? Is it the Black Muslims? Is it the Muslims in general? Is it the other individuals? Who have you guys seen that's been having your unwavering back and support?
My family haven't even been supporting like that.
Speak on that.
You said haven't.
They haven't. Like not to like not. I love my family. I love you all. Like when I talk about my wife, she's like my biggest fan. But in terms of like my parents and my like sibling, well, I don't have siblings, but my cousins and it's like, not to say that they're not supported, because like when I release the poster, they'll be like, oh, congratulations, and my aunt and everyone will be like, yeah, you're doing a good job. But it's like, you have done the effort already and made everything happen, and then they've seen it happen, and then they have something to say, and then they want to congratulate you. But that's not really the support. Like, the support for me is like the people that are working on helping you get in from
who help me get started.
And it's people that I don't know. People that I've never met. It's the people that you are not involved in your life at all. Like, you don't even know their names, and they're doing the most. Like, I remember before I came to, so when I was planning the tour, I said, okay, I'm going to Ohio. I said, I'm going to land in NYC. Yeah. There was one girl called Amanda. Like, she had been following the Beyond the Bilal tour since October. And she's always like, yo, please, you need to come to New York. You need to make this happen. You need to come, give it in New York. Or do you have a video? And I was like, nah, I don't even have a thing. So when I put on my thing that I'm in New York for 3 days, just chilling, she like contacted everyone she could. She spoke to the New York University and the chaplains and until I got booked at NYU.
Wow.
Like, she put in that work, and then it's like, yo, I'm here.
You never met her.
And I never met her before in my life, but she just liked the message, and she liked the vision, and she liked the Beyond Bilal, like, and she wanted to experience that, so she made sure it happened. Like, and it's people you never meet that will be out here supporting you. Like, so the most support comes from people on Instagram, like people that just, they value your work and they want to see you do great. Or even just small things like today. Like, you followed me on Instagram, we never met, but you valued, I guess, my work, or you like my vibe or whatever. Like, when I was like, yo, I'm out here in DC, like, I want to get my hair cut and I want to go to that bank, you're like, yo, okay, I'll pull up. You pulled up at my hotel, took me, got your
geometry.
Check it out on YouTube.
Got everything good. Took me out to dinner, like we were chilling, whatever. I've never met you before, but there's people that have known me from when I was a kid that would never do what you did for me.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I tell a deep story, man. Like, and it almost made me cry just thinking about it, man. When I was going to Egypt, I remember, looking to study, man. The people that I thought would look out for me and say, yo, you're doing something good, we're gonna invest in you. Quiet. Very few people, So I remember, I would never forget this. I was on a bus going to Aswan. Right? Shout out, man. The cold freezing, right? Then I got this message from this brother, man. He made me promise not to say who he is, but may Allah bless him.
Amen.
But he sent me almost $10,000, man. And said, yo, listen, I know you didn't ask for this or whatever, but I see what you're doing. I believe in you, and I want you to go and study for the sake of Allah, memorize the Quran, learn the Arabic language, and be a light to your community. Wallahi, I never seen his brother, didn't know his name, didn't even know he existed. Wallahi, never met me before, ever. But he took his hard-earned money that he worked for with his family, with his wife and 2 children, and so I'm going to take this and give it to you. Never met you. Bismillah. And it took like maybe 2 or 3 years later that I finally met him and put a face to him. And, you know, he never wanted anything, like no ulterior motives, like give it back, nothing like do this or do that, like no, nothing. It's like, yo, I love you, even though I never met you, man. Lord bless you. Yeah.
Me.
You know, and for I would never forget this. Like, and he makes me shine because I don't even know like where does this kind of love come from? Like, you know, it's only from Allah. Like, it's the same thing. What they said, mink. You know, so when somebody's in tune with Allah, like, is it here? This is Allah's giving it to you. You know, so and in my life, I've seen that experience. Like the people that love me and support me and are so gung ho about me winning and being a good human being, the people I have no idea who they are.
Yeah.
Yes. Allah just brings them.
You know they happened for us, right?
It was a podcast.
No. So I started vlogging on YouTube, and one of the guys that I got familiar with, same thing. He was like, "Yo, don't put my name out there, you know, out of respect." And this dude bought the editing software for me. Now, this is at a time where I was just learning how to edit. My stuff crashed. So I was like blown. I'm like, yo, how am I going to do when I'm just like, I had a good flow rolling. This dude hit me. He was like, yo, I got you for a year. Do your work. Get to it. And so without him, we wouldn't even have this. Like, it's just crazy to think, man.
Yeah, same situation. Like, even how like Islam came to design my whole thing, and like all my boys came out to like I would say my support system is my boys. Like they ride for me, like they'll do like anything and we're all like that. Like anything one of us does, we all ride for each other, like post it on Instagram, like hype it up, see how we can help each other. So I would say they're my support system, and then all the people on Instagram and like on social media that just love me and appreciate me.
Yeah.
And I love them too, like even though I don't know them or I never met them, but like just the fact that you mess with me, like I mess with you, like like, do you know what I mean? That love is there. And as far as like demographics, because you was asking like, is it black Muslims?
I want specifics. Yes.
It's mostly non-black Muslims that are supporting them.
So still Muslims, okay. So non-black, okay.
Even non-Muslims as well.
Yeah.
Like in certain universities in the UK and even like LA, the person that organized it was Muslim, but the person that paid for everything wasn't even Muslim. But they just wanted to see the Muslim students like have their representation and do what they were doing. Yeah, Rhonda, shout out Rhonda. And then like with like most of the people that are coming out and the people that want to hear about Black history in Islam, they're mostly not even black people. Like I would say about 75% of them are Asian and Arab and non-black, but they're just interested because it's like the narrative that they've been told is this. So when they're seeing an alternative narrative, they're like, yo, we never knew this existed. We're interested. We want to know. We want to discover. Like they're curious and they want to know. So they've been the people that have been supporting the most, I would say. And then, there's a few black people here and there, like, and a few organizations that have been mostly black, and more so in America than the UK. But like in the UK, it was all like, every single MSA that booked me, I would say only maybe, say from the 20 of them, only 4 of them or 5 of them were run by black students. All the rest were like Asians, Arabs, who wanted to discover the history of Islam in Africa, wanted to discover the relationship between black history and Islam. And then here in America, obviously you have a bigger black Muslim demographic because most of the Muslims here, I think it's 20 or 25% are African American. So with that, then I was having like in LA, in Pensapilo in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. Like those were the black organizations that brought me out, and then some of the rest of them, it was just Asians, Arabs that were just interested. And I think that's beautiful because Allah said like He made us tribes and nations to know each other. So it's like when someone from a different tribe and a different nation from you wants to know about your culture and your history and value you and appreciate you and hear your narrative, that's exactly what Allah wanted from you. Like لِتَعَرَّفُوا, like to know each other instantly.
It's a beautiful thing, man. What's funny is that Brother Amir was saying that over and over and over again, because one thing in Islamic history, we always try and block it up. Like, oh, this is the black Muslim history, but really it's all of our history. You know what I'm saying? Like our history as a people is just as relevant to everybody who's Muslim. Just like, you know, if there were no black people here in America, there would be no America. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's not about it being Black History Month or Islamic Black history. It's like, no, this is a part of our history that you might just not be as educated on. And it's important for you to know why. It's a big foundation of who we are and what we know today. You know, and what's funny, you know, you saying that like there's a lot of people that are non-black. I think we experience the same thing. You know, a lot of non-Muslims are curious. A lot of, you know, whites, a lot of, you know, people who aren't black, you know, or the diaspora, they're very curious about who we are. Because like you said, our story is very, very much smeared in certain ways. And they're like, nah, come on now. Like, I know Mustafa, you know, I know Youssef, and they're not like that. So I'm curious now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's so true. It's like when we were in LA, it was deep because my friend, he's Muslim. So like we traveled together. He's part of like Baraka Boyz, whatever. He's a videographer, so he was out there. But all his colleagues live in the same house as him. So it was like the house was there, he was there as a Muslim. Then there was like 2 Hindus and 2 Sikhs.
Love it.
And then like another girl was around that she was like Christian, and we were all chilling. And it was like they were so interested in our way of thinking. I was so interested, and they were surprised like I knew about their way. And it was like that whole exchange. And it was so beautiful because we sat down like to like 4 or 5 a.m. We were all talking by the fire, like whatever, like having these deep, intimate discussions. And it's like you see that everyone's just the same at the base, like
at the core, man.
Because we were souls before bodies and before religion and before that. Like, and if the souls know each other in the realm of the souls, then when they come together on earth, they get along. So it's like you see yourself getting along with people from different tribes, different nations, different religions, different ethnic groups, because there's that basis of being like Abdullah, being like a slave of Allah that unites everyone. And coming from Allah that unites everyone. Like we all have the same origin spiritually, and then we all have the same origin physically. So like even all the differences amongst us, like you can see unity amongst those differences, and you can discover things about yourself and the path you're supposed to take through other people and the path they're supposed to take. So I feel like that's beautiful as well, but you have to be open to that. Because I didn't approach them like, you're a different religion from me, you're wrong, I'm like, oh, what do you believe in? What do you do? Like, how do you see the world? How do you? And then they were approaching me as well the same way, and we had mutual respect and appreciation for each other. No doubt. And we're discovering things about each other, and then you never know where it could go from there.
You know, I do really love that you say that, because you are a person who out there that's studying and searching for the haqq. One thing that in the Muslim community that is frowned upon is to look outside of our walls and see how other communities do, like in the Christian community, in the Jewish community, the Sikh community. Like, don't worry about that because they don't have the book. You know what I mean? So don't look at what they're doing. Don't just focus on what we have. And
even within the book, something you see a lot in the book is Ya Bani Israel.
Yes, the children of Israel. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Children of Israel.
Yes.
If you don't know who the children of Israel are, and you don't have interaction with them, why would that be relevant to you? Like Allah shows you, oh, these people are here, these people are here, these people are here. They're all to teach you something about yourself.
Exactly.
Like Bani Israel, how many times does it come up in the Quran?
Probably the most out of all the tribes. You know what I mean?
So you be like, how many times, guys? Like,
yeah, so it's like it doesn't make sense. You need to discover other people to discover yourself. Yeah, like Allah mentions so many things in the Quran. Like even if you want to go on a deeper level, the word shaitan is in the Quran. If you don't have any experience with shaitan, you won't know about yourself.
Oh, that's
we've said man.
You won't have. Do you know what I mean? So it's like even the worst things, and they're not even like it's just ridiculous. Like because the time when the Muslim Ummah was progressing the most was when they were interacting with other cultures and gaining that exposure. And then comparing it, like Aqidah, the science of Aqidah developed because they were interacting with Greek philosophy. And they needed to see, how do we approach this from our religion? So that Greek philosophy that they were reading and these other religions that they were encountering during the expansion of the Muslim world made them reflect on themselves and be like, okay, well, what's my stance on this? What does Allah? Because all these things of what is possible for Allah, what is not possible for Allah, and the things you study in Aqidah, they didn't exist in the time of the Prophet.
It's reactionary,
It's reactionary because there was something that came about that made you inquire. Or like Bayt al-Hikmah, which was established in Baghdad, where they were translating the books of the Indians and the Chinese and When they received all this knowledge from different cultures, it made them return to the Quran and bring out things in the Quran that they never saw before, or understand things about their deen that they never saw before because of their interaction with other people. So it's like, that was how all of these sciences, hadith, fiqh, aqidah, developed. And then now we have them, we're saying, oh yeah, well, don't go outside of the tradition.
Is that
when
crazy?
The tradition is a result of people going outside of the tradition and comparing it with what we have. So yeah, that don't make no sense.
It's no accident that right now Islam is the fastest growing religion, because now we're starting to see brothers such as yourselves, you know what I'm saying, where y'all travel to another country, study in another country, you know what I'm saying? Like, and
the Prophet said, seek knowledge even if it takes you to China. If it was just religious knowledge, you could have stayed with him in Medina. Why would you go to China? What did the Chinese people have to tell you? If it's just religious knowledge, there's nothing a man in China in the time of the Prophet ﷺ could have told you more than what you knew at home. So clearly it was other types of knowledge, other kind of cultures, other kind of civilizations that you need to understand in order to understand yourself. 100%.
Absolutely.
So this right here is more of a personal question for you, Brother Youssef. What has you going to another country such as Egypt, learning Arabic as an African-American Muslim, learning how to read, how to write, how does that help your community in Philly? And how does that also help embrace and kind of show the struggle and the progress of the Black Muslims here in America?
That's a heavy question. That's a deep question. SubhanAllah, just about changing the narrative. And that's why you have to look beyond Bilal, because no, and I'm plugging it, but
plug away.
But it's serious though, because the way we look at ourselves, like, you know, so there are these Muslims that come and, you know, that came to the country, our forefathers, they were stripped of their religion, stripped of their culture, stripped of everything already. And then they come into Islam, then you get stripped again. You remove your music is haram, the way you dress is haram, the way you talk is haram, everything is haram, your identity is haram. Strip your haircut is haram, that fade, haram, right? Strip everything again, right? And then you're finding an identity, right? So, I mean, in our communities, what does a scholar, an Islamic scholar, look like? He looks like you know, a pale Arab man in a white thobe with a red checkered, you know, a gutra hat wrap and a black turban thing. And if this isn't a scholar, this is it. And it's like people that look like me and you. So this is their conception of what a scholar looks like. Nothing else. What does a Muslim look like? You have to dress like an Arab. You have to look like a Pakistani. You have to look like an Indian. You have to look Bangladeshi. You have to look everything other than yourself. What does a good human being look like? Everything other than me. What does culture, Islamic culture, look like? Everything other than my culture. You know, so when this is how you see yourself, really, to have a bad opinion of yourself is to have a bad opinion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because how can you look at the things Allah created? You look at everything else and you see the beauty and magnificence of Allah and beauty and artifacts and mountains and things of this nature. But then you look at yourself like, yo, something wrong with me. Allah made a mistake with me. You know, Allah made a mistake. So this work that we're doing right here, we really, one of my friends said something so profound to me a few weeks ago, Bashir. He said that the two greatest mistakes, the two greatest lies that have been told in the last few hundred years is that Allah isn't one and that blackness isn't divine.
Oh man.
Woo. Allah Ta'ala said that blackness is divine in the Quran and in a way that He put in the prophets and the messengers. And if nothing else, just the fact that Allah created this to know that we're divine. We're from Allah. Allah doesn't make mistakes.
Exactly.
Allah is the producer, the master producer, and He produced us. The same one that created the universe and this beautiful blackness is the same one that created us with this color. So you mentioned like the planets don't apologize, the sun doesn't apologize, the midnight doesn't apologize. We don't apologize for who we are, how we look like. So studying knowledge is to come back and it's to see people. This brother right here, he dresses in a suit and a turtleneck. He could wear, you know, like, you know, some loafers or whatever. He could drop a 16. He could spit a poem or whatever, but at the same time, he can give you from Barakah to Yasin. He can give you the hadith. He can give you the statements of the scholars. He can give you fiqh, like well versed. And I know him. I grew up with him. Like, you know, he's not this person sitting on a big, you know, a leather chair over in Saudi Arabia or whatever. No, he's right here. We produced him. This is our son. This is the fruit of our labor. That changes the game. Right? So they see me and Mustafa, we're chilling, we're having fun. You know, we might catch us dabbing out there, Millie rocking, whatever. But let's do this in knowledge, though. You know, we can give you Quran, we can give you the statement of House, we can teach you things about this religion that you don't know. And we're not scholars, you know, we're just regular, but we're Muslims, like, you know, and this is normal. So when you have, our goal is not, we're not the end all be all. We want to have 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 brothers like doctors, lawyers, engineers, artists, producers, fashion experts, or whatever. But anybody could break this deen down to you. Anybody could be a scholar. You could pick anyone. They could do Jumrah. You could pick anyone. They could lead Taraweeh. You could pick anyone in a squad and they can give you knowledge that somebody over there couldn't even give you, because it's a lived reality. People that know, this is the beauty of the Maliki Madhab, is that it's based upon the reality of a city. So someone that lives in these environments that never grew up practicing Islam, that accepted Islam, that embraced it, it's different. You practice Islam different. Like, this ain't no culture. Yeah. I saw Allah brought me to this. And this is the statement of Imam Ghazali. So that's what makes people different. Like, you know, so this work that I'm doing, I know it's not about me. It's about building the next generations to come. And young people see me up there giving Jummah, like this past Friday or whatever. I was in a predominantly Arab and a Pakistani masjid. And I remember walking to because I borrowed some garments from my man Hassan. Right? He gave me some African garments, and I remember walking towards the minbar. People was looking like, yo, who's this man? Who's this dude, right? But get up there and drop Arabic, and they're like, yo, where you learn that from? And I was like, yo, my whole squad got it. Like, everybody got it. Like,
circle of winners.
Everybody. And I was somewhere at one time, and Mustafa was another time dropping the Jummah at another place.
Yeah,
like,
I led Jummah,
come on, you know,
Pakistani mosque on the other
same
side.
Same
situation.
Bro, that's wild.
Y'all taking over the city. No, this is taking over the city. That's what we do.
And that's the kind of culture that we need to create. So like him being African American, he's a product of his society.
That's it.
He looks the way all his brothers look. He talks the way his brother talks. He listens to the same music. He can rap. He can da-da-da. But at the same time, he can do a Jummah khutbah. At the same time, like he leads Tarawih in Atlanta Masjid every Ramadan. And if it's a Friday and you're in Philly and he was doing Jummah in 4 different masjids in Philly at one point. So it's like, I'm the same, like I can do that. Like, I'm from inner city London, like I speak the slang, I know the music, like I've been all the places where everyone else from my area, my city have been, but then at the same time, I can sit with scholars, I can translate for the sheikh, I can read this book, I can lead this Jummah, I can do da-da-da-da-da. So people look at it like, yo, like, I can relate to Islam now because there's people like me that are doing it.
Exactly.
And they have access to the deen, because it's like I remember I took all of my boys to see one of my sheikhs, Sheikh Makki. I mentioned him earlier. He came to London, and so he was talking to us as young people, and then he said, you know, Allah says in the Quran, we haven't sent our prophet except with the tongue of his own people. So he said that he was like, you lot are here to visit me. He was like, if Mustafa wasn't here, you wouldn't be able to access the knowledge I have. And he's from you. He's one of your people. He's like, so you're lucky to have someone that's like you, but can be a bridge to us.
People like,
so it's like, it's the same situation. Like, my boys, like, they're into deen and they're into like spirituality and stuff through me, because they can relate to me. They can't go straight to the sheikh and sit with the sheikh and be like, oh, sheikh, da-da-da, and ask him questions and chill. Sheikh Maki's mad chill though. Like, we chill with him and we drink tea and we bust jokes and stuff, but at the same time, there'll still be that barrier, whereas with me, there's no barrier. So it's like, there'll be things, if they import your imam from Pakistan or Saudi Arabia, and then you want to go to him to talk about, like, yo, like, my girl's stressing me and I was popping mollies and I was in the rave, like, they'll be looking at you like do you know Molly? So they can't give you,
is that your wife?
They can't give you an answer to your question or appropriate advice for your situation, because they've never been in your situation.
Exactly.
But if you're approaching someone that was in the rave with you last year, they were in the club with you last year popping bottles, and then this year they're reading their Quran, they're doing their thing there, but that you can still talk to them without fear that they will judge you, without fear that they'll be like, oh yeah, astaghfirullah, da-da-da-da-da. But like, they were where you were.
Why?
And they are who you are. So you can, but then now they're different. So it's like, you can approach them and get what you need from them.
And tangible too, like, yo, I can touch them, like, you know, it's real, like, you know, it's like,
But then at the same time, like you said, you can spit it to him in a way where it's like he's gonna get it because he knows, oh, you were with me, so how, like, why, you know what I'm saying? And then you can break that process down. You know what I'm saying? So that was actually an issue that we saw. That's the reason we started the podcast.
Exactly. And that's the same reason we started Baraka Boyz in the UK. Because it's the exact same thing. Like, we saw, like, okay, there's loads of young people like us, but there's no one representing us, and there's no one talking about what we're talking about. There's no one seeing the world the same way we see it. So let's create a platform to bring all these people out and bring these people together, and it worked. Because every single place that I've gone in, all of the 30 places, everywhere I go, there's always one person that says, yo, I love the podcast. Or I came out because I watch you from the podcast. And then, do you know what I mean? So it's that platform, and I feel like things are changing now where we're having a whole new generation of people like us you know what I mean? That like we're comfortable with our Western culture, we're comfortable with being who we are, but at the same time we have the deen, and then we bring it together in a nice way.
Wow. So right now, because it you know, we don't want to hold you guys too late. Y'all got a flight coming up soon, right? but right now, what I want all of us to do at the same time is, you know, just start shouting out the people who have helped you get to this point. First of all, I want to shout out all the listeners right now, because you guys, y'all just, I'm gonna be real, y'all listen to a 3-hour podcast where, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So first and foremost, shout out to you guys. Shout out to all the women out there, all the mothers, all the sisters, all the daughters, right? Shout out to all the creators, the entrepreneurs. Shout out to the YouTube viewers. Shout out to the SoundCloud listeners. Shout out to the people on Castbox and people with the broken iPhones that listen on Apple Podcasts. Shout out to the Muslims and non-Muslims, the blacks and non-blacks, the Asians, the people that immigrated. Shout out to all of y'all, because every single one of y'all made what we are doing right at this moment possible. And I want y'all to do y'all shout outs, man. Just, you know, who is deserving of them shout outs right now?
First of all, shout out Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
There we go. One time
for the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. One time for the Ummis, one time for the Abis, one time for the thinkers, the creators, the poets, the lovers, the builders, the, you know, the inspirers, man. One time for y'all brothers, man, for the sincere, real, true and living brothers, man, that love you for the sake of Allah, nothing else, man. One time for friendship, one time for brotherhood, one time for building, one time for wealth. One time for, you know, healthy living, one time for gratitude, one time for Barakah, one time for, you know, for everything, man. One time for all of y'all listening, man. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, I think he said everything.
I bet he don't spit. He not freestyling.
The thing is, like, once I start to name people, there's so many people.
Yeah, I feel you.
It's like, if I name 100 people,
it won't be
there's
enough.
100 that I didn't name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't even want to name one. I'll just say everybody that knows us and loves us and supports us. Even the people that don't like us and even the people that don't support us, they inspire us to do better. Like, they inspire, like, people out there hating, recording me eating my crab and sending it to people. Like, yeah, I'm petty. People out here doing all this stuff, like, that motivates me to do more. Do you know what I mean? Like,
so the funny, my crab leg.
He knows why I said it in this situation.
He was very specific about that leg.
Bro, he big mad about that.
Stuff with, like, I'm petty sometimes. People out there, honestly, like, as much as I want to thank the people that support me and love me and I also want to thank the people that can't stand me, like the people that don't want to see this happen, because
you big man right now.
Because they let you know, like, okay, yo, I need to work on this and I need to work on that and I need to improve this and I need to improve that and I need to watch out for this and I need to watch out for that, and like I need to just like help you and let you know, like, you know, you can do it too. Like, it's okay. Like, mad. Like, don't be mad. So
wow, you mad.
You so mad. You be thinking like how much people feel like that don't like us, just watching us winning. Like, no, you know, like, you so
do they ever lose?
Come on, keep taking L's, like, boy.
Boy. But all the people that love us honestly and support us, like, we love you and we support, and we, because there's people like this trip, from everything that it taught me how beautiful people can be and how genuine people can be. Because I don't know, and like, okay, my wife's American but she's not here. I don't have any family here like that. I don't have, my mom's not here, my dad's not here, my siblings are not here. Like, I don't have no So the whole way through, like, going through 10 different locations and going through all these cities and like all the flights and the hotels and the people coming out, like 200, 300 people at a venue and and like people always offering to help you, to support you, like all of those people that every single person that I've met or every single person that's been a part of this, like, it just shows me the beauty that human beings have, because they can still be genuine and they can still love and they can still show love and they can still unite with you without any benefit, without any like ulterior motive, without any like, you know, underhandedness. And a lot of people are in a position where they believe that there's no good left in humanity, or there's no good people around anymore, or there's no people that just love for the sake of love anymore.
Preach.
but they exist. Like I've seen everyone. I've seen people
come
fade,
out. Bro.
Hassan Faye.
I gotta say, bro.
That's our bro in Atlanta. Like he showed us mad love.
Yo,
and even just the people that organized, and then the people that showed up, and the people that just did small things. It's like every single person showed me how beautiful humanity can be, like how beautiful human beings can be, and the potential that we have to kind of love each other and move forward, and the beautiful things that can happen when everybody unites for the one cause and shows love. Like you can make miracles happen, you can make magic happen, like just through that love and just through showing that love, man. Alhamdulillah. So I want to thank everyone that loves us. We love you too. Like alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, man. That was some deep shout outs, man. I didn't say a word, but I felt everything. So right now as we wrap this thing up, because it's been an awesome conversation. I really want to thank y'all for taking the time. I know you have a flight to catch and we got work in the morning, but that don't really matter to us because this is very important.
What word? This is our word, bro.
And I'm praying that Allah puts Barakah in this for you and puts this up in a way where you know He can provide, like Allah will provide from you through this way you never expected. Inshallah.
That's the goal, man. Inshallah, man.
Because America's a big platform. There's a lot of potential, man.
It's just started, man.
So may Allah, like Sheikh Ibrahim Niasse used to say, Barakah, when it enters something small, it makes it bigger. And when it enters something big, it makes it stable. So may Allah put Barakah in it, man. And continue to grow.
Ameen, man. Coming straight from the Baraka boy himself. So what's you know, while we wrap this thing up, what's next for the both of you guys, whether it's individually or you know together, and then how can people find y'all to stay, you know, plug in, because we want to keep in touch with y'all.
Books,
hit up
conferences, all that stuff.
Instagram, Mustafa Briggs, Mustafa Briggs. Everything will be on there, inshallah. If Allah gives me life and health and allows me to continue this year, I've got a book coming out, Beyond the Bilal, Black History and Islam. So everything that I've been lecturing about over the 25 universities, I'm going to put in that book so that people that weren't able to make the lecture series can still have access to the knowledge and the information. And then before Malcolm X, History of Islam in the Americas. That's also coming out.
Okay. Sneak peek.
That's coming out, inshallah, in August. I've got a retreat in Jamaica, discovering the history of Islam in Jamaica. That's in August as well.
What type of retreat we talking? Can we come?
Yeah, bro. Fly out to Jamaica.
I swear we'll come out there.
So if you Google Sacred Footsteps or Burgundy Roots, like I'm working with those two organizations where they're gonna take us out to Jamaica, me and my bro Khalid Siddiq. And we're gonna like give a tour, like with Wafa Judas as well. Like she's a experienced kind of Jamaica travel guide. That the tour is based on sustainable tourism. So like it's not fancy resorts or foreign owned things. It's like locally produced stuff, local resorts owned by local people, visiting local businesses, supporting like organic, you know, Jamaican lifestyle, and seeing the country for what it really is. Then also discovering the Islamic heritage in Jamaica as well. So that's in August, and I'm going to launch like Beyond Malcolm X around that time as well. And in the book, those are the 3 projects I'm looking to finish by the end of the year, inshallah.
Inshallah. Youssef, bring it home, bro.
Yeah, Bismillah. You know, my prerogative is to build my brother up, man. Whatever he's doing, to build it up, support him, be in service of him. Alhamdulillah, wherever he goes to, you know, build that up. Because Allah has put something special in him, and I see that light, and it's our business, as we're doing right now, to enhance that. And it's bigger than just him, you know, it's about that light of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So to really do whatever it takes, whatever he's trying to do beyond Bilal, to take that far, man, and as far as we can go. Alhamdulillah, and I'm grateful to be allowed the opportunity to be in service. Also, there's a book as well I'll be coming out with. It's called Son of Sun and Moon. It's a collection of poetry. It's going to be dropping within the next like a few weeks, inshallah. The book is done already. You know, we're just waiting for Islam to come through with them graphics, man, so we can bless the people.
Another shout out
to Islam, you know. So that's a part of it. And inshallah, I'll be doing Tarawih in Atlanta. You know, just being amongst the people, looking forward to traveling. Like, you know, we're looking to do some tours nationally and internationally as well.
So which mosque in Atlanta? Because we do have listeners in Atlanta.
Atlanta Masjid of As-Salaam.
Okay.
So, you know, looking forward to doing that. And just being present, like wherever Allah says go, you know, because we have these plans, but then
that's the
like
plan.
Said, man, in a couple more days, you going to China? We're in China. What happened? Like, yo, we just present, bro. Like, we just showing up for class, like. So alhamdulillah, you know, but you know, just working on the book, and I'm really excited about this. Son of Sun and Moon is a reference from Surah Youssef, talking about when Allah gave him this dream, this vision, and Allah gave me the dream, this vision of seeing the sun and the moon and the stars prostrating down. You know, so what kind of light do you have to have as an individual for the sun and the moon and stars to prostrate down to you?
I can't fathom. I know.
So where can we find that book, and where can we find you?
So the book is going to be on the website YoussefKromah.com. That's YoussefKromah. Also, my Instagram is the same thing, or you can hashtag do it for the deen, hashtag Beyond the Bilal. If you find my brothers, you find me. You can find us on Instagram, and you can support by purchasing the book, getting pre-orders done, inshallah ta'ala, and we'll have it out to you.
Yeah, man.
I mean, bro. So to wrap this up, boys, you know, Allah works in mysterious ways. I don't even want to say crazy, man. Like, I can't even fathom the fact that, like, literally a couple of days ago, we were sitting there looking at you guys on Instagram. You feel me?
Yeah.
You know, the way that we were all brought together today, it was all by destiny. You know, Maktub, everything's written for all this to take place. You know, we respect you guys' hustle. We respect you guys' commitment to the deen. We respect you guys' commitment to yourselves. You know, and to your loved ones. The things that you guys are doing is not about yourself. It's about what you can do for the ummah. So, massive respect there, and we love you guys for the sake of Allah. We love the work that you guys are doing, and you guys have, you know, our hearts and our souls and our prayers and to everything that you guys are doing. So thank Allah that you guys are here with us. Thank Allah that you guys were here for everybody during this tour, and we pray that you guys have the safest of trips back home.
Amen. And you guys know where to find us. If not, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram, Young the letter N Muslim. That's Young the letter N Muslim. Make sure you subscribe on all the podcast platforms. That's SoundCloud, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Castbox. Also on YouTube, if you want to see some handsome brothers on here, make sure you subscribe on the YouTube. It's the Young and Muslim podcast. And if you guys do really like what you guys are hearing, please leave us a review. You let us know how we're doing. That's the only way that we're going to improve and keep doing what we're doing, providing such awesome guests like Brother Youssef and Brother Mustafa, inshallah ta'ala. So
absolutely, it's that time of Muhammad.
Let's bring it home, brother.
Hey, like Brother Amir said, we don't use nicknames. Muhammad Ali fought too hard for us to use a name. What's my name? What's my name, Muhammad? Right? So for the past umpteen amount of minutes, you guys have been listening to the Young and Muslim podcast. I am Jibreel Salaam,
and this is Mohamed Hassan.
Mustafa Briggs
Youssef Kromah.
And we hit you with the greetings of peace.
As-Salaam
Alaikum.
Goodbye.
Peace.